This is peak Overwatch.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, what you've all been waiting for. And now it's go time. Here we go.
Bloody hands, my eyes wide, I got one chance. No sleep till I'm enhanced. Fight hard to keep my stance. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion, move aside.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding me?
Taking over the game.
What am I watching? They might just be doing it.
He's a god. He's a god.
Yeah.
Full force, I'm unleashed, so don't speak. Grandmaster, don't sleep. Victory, it tastes so sweet. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion, move aside. Let's go.
Welcome everyone to the Overwatch League June Joust Eastern Regional Knockouts presented by Xfinity. I'm Vicky Kitty and I'm here with the Jaws, and we're going to be taking you through the action with our first two teams in the East. Of course, with our homestand heroes, the Hangzhou Spark versus the New York Excelsior.
Oh yeah, the knockout time. Here we go. Got two matches today. I'm excited, Vicky. We have the Spark against the NYXL as our first one. And oh boy, has it been a good regular season for the June Joust. The games over the last couple of weeks, I think, have flipped a lot of things on their heads. The Spark looks so good coming in today. We've seen really nice showings from the NYXL as well. We've seen Guangzhou come in too, which has been very exciting. But I want to speak about the Spark, man. This team is off the chain right now. They've only lost two maps, Vicky, leading up to today.
Yeah, they've been on a streak. Of course, when I saw the meta going into the June Joust, I honestly had a lot of faith into the Spark. And of course, they performed to no disappointment, Jaws.
Oh yes, they are not disappointing anybody currently. And there you go. You can kind of see how all the teams, not even just the NYXL or the Spark, got here today. 2-2 is NYXL's record. Spark 4-1. Dynasty 3-1. Dragons 3-1 as well. So it's number 1 seed going up against number 4. Obviously on paper you'd be like, okay, so Spark are definitely going to win this, but NYXL haven't looked too bad either. Like their new DPS that they've brought in, people like Flora, Feather, and they've had them on kind of this big rotation with Ivy and Guangzhou have looked very, very good. A very adaptable team, it seems, coming into this year. And you kind of need that, especially with these hero pools that are going to be thrown at teams in these tournaments.
We were actually having this conversation earlier, right before the broadcast, where I was kind of gathering your thoughts on the meta. And after this weekend and what we had seen within the last 2 weeks unfold, the Winston and D.Va seem to be the strongest tank composition overall and seems to be more viable in the maps that we have within the map pool. Although we've seen these Orisa comps look really strong in the Eastern region too, the name of the game in NA comps is to use Lucio to get into position, soft engage, instead of actually utilizing the tank mobility cooldowns, and then hard engage again with the coalescence. That coalescence being the key. Meanwhile, though, looking at the Spark in the NYXL, we've seen a lot of Brigida and Ana, and we were talking about the difference between these two different support compositions and how it plays into the strength of these specific teams.
Yeah, it does play a little bit slower because the coalescence in general will charge a whole lot faster, and the tempo of the comps is a whole lot faster too, just because Lucio is involved. Anytime a speed boost in any game, really, not even just Overwatch, even a time a speed boost is involved, you're just running at them. That's all you're going to do. You just hit E, you sprint towards them, and then hopefully your Winston D.Va end up just nuking somebody. Ideally, and what's been really interesting to see about the NA meta that's currently been cropping up, you force cooldowns from either the Reaper or the Moira. You force that Wraith form or you force the Fade. As soon as they are out of the DPS or the support, you run at them. And you kill them as fast as you possibly can before those cooldowns come up again. Moira's Fade is probably one of the most powerful abilities in the games, just as a non-ultimate ability. It's a very short cooldown. It makes you invisible, gives you a speed boost, and it's basically a blink. You just dash over to the other side of the map, the other side of the team fight, to safety, to your Lucio, to your backline, wherever you really want to go. It's crazy. But as soon as you get that out, Moira is pretty vulnerable. Her only real way of healing herself is a right click, unless her orb is off cooldown, and you can kind of throw that out and heal yourself. And it doesn't matter if those abilities are even available, right, Vicky? Because Echo is in the meta right now. That beam focusing people down, it's got its name Focusing Beam for a reason, when they're below 50% HP, will just blow up anybody.
Yeah, and that's the difference, too, when you have the Coalescence and then you have the Soundbeard to help disengage or keep the sustainability in the fight. Meanwhile, your Moira is building 2 Coalescence in these fights, which have been going on for a really long time. Yeah, right? It's like whether you have the streams crossing between both of the enemy, whether it be the enemy Coalescence and then your team Coalescence, getting it twice, so you got 4 Coalescence in total in the fight, and then you got 4 Diva Bombs getting sent your way because of the double Echo duplicate. It's just been super chaotic. And then you have the Brigida and Ana that we've seen a lot from both the Spark and the NYXL, where the difference is these ultimates aren't charged up as quickly. Currently, you have the Homestand, though, and I love the energy and the arena that we've been able to see, Jaws, throughout the weekend. That Homestand power-up, I truly believe in it. The NYXL, they're not going to have that Homestand power-up. Unfortunately, only one team is going to be able to qualify in the June Joust tournament, and one of these teams are going to have to bow their heads to the other.
Yeah, I'd be pretty scared if I was the NYXL, especially as a Spark. Like I mentioned, I've already dropped 2 maps, but here is the roster I spoke a little bit about before. Flora and Feather. They end up rotating in and out with Guangbang and Ivy, depending on the situation. Normally, we're seeing on Junkertown or very long-range hit scan maps, we do see Ivy and Guangbang come in on the Widowmaker, and then a dive hero, normally something like a Genji. And that has been the case for the majority of the NYXL play time. Feather and Flora, they're starters though. Always seem to start. It doesn't really matter because Control, more often than not, you're not going to find these long-range engagements. Maybe Ruins of all maps, but even then, a Widowmaker can be fairly difficult to play, especially if you're playing against a Winston and a Diva. Because they'll just kind of run at you, and you're way better off playing the Echo and Reaper, who can just jump to high ground with the rest of your tanks and just burn the Widowmaker down before she can even get a shot off. But Spark, Vicky, this is the team the home crowd are waiting for. Look, you can see everybody lining up to get some pictures as the Spark make their way onto the stage. They got a sick intro video as well. Oh boy. And when we get this back here in North America or in Europe or whatever, oh man, it's going to be fantastic to cast those events again.
And the flags too. I love the hype that these teams are bringing out. Everybody meeting them in the alley. And just finding a way to give them that support. That's that crowd support again, and that's the power-up that I'm worried about looking at the Spark. But look, as they get ready, they're feeling themselves. This is the confidence that I love to see from the Spark, and they should be exerting that confidence because they've been doing so well within this stage.
It's going to be a pretty long walkout too. The Spark have a pretty big roster, which is something at least all the fans get to see every single player as well. Of course, we just saw So-Min-Soo there pass by. Godspeed, one of the most famous players in Korea, formerly of X6, and what a legend he's been throughout his Overwatch career. He did start a lot of the time, Vicky, earlier on in the season, but we've seen a lot more of Shy recently, which has been a massive buff to the Spark. You can see putting him in on the Echo, and just any hero, really. The guy's just a beast.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible difference for the Spark, hence why they've gone so far in the June Joust, winning 12 maps, losing only 2. What an incredible performance thus far. That is a fantastic walkout little dance there, very good. These intro videos are always fantastic coming from the Chinese teams.
It actually makes me so excited to anticipate my first homestand. Keep reiterating that throughout the weekend, but again, as I see this, I can't. Yeah, like, do you blame me? I mean, look how awesome this looks. Look at the arena. Look at the colors. These players also just walking onto the stage, getting set up for the first series of the day. And today's going to be so important too with a lot of these matches, Josh, because this is the day to determine which of the top 4 teams are going to be competing in the June Joust.
Oh yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking, I can imagine. But for a lot of the players they've played on stage before, it's not going to be too much of a sweat for them. You speak about the homestand buff. Oh boy, a Spark going to use that to its fullest advantage. Now they all just kind of line up the stage. They're ready to rock and roll. And this is a Spark roster too that recently 3-0'd the Dragons. This team is not to be scoffed at whatsoever. This is going to be your starting lineup for today. Architect, the Flex God, Shy, who's just been destroying everybody on the server on his Echo. Gushwei, a legendary top-tier main tank. And Gushwei has just been an unbelievable performer. Not only just this year, but previous years too. He played on the World Cup roster for Team China a couple of years ago, and he has just gone up and up and up. New strength to new strength every single time we see him. It's good to see So-Min-Soo obviously back as well. He went a bit MIA last year, but finally back on a team that will do him well, I'm sure. I'm excited, man. Spark are a team definitely to watch out for.
I gotta spark it. You see them getting set up too, just bringing the hype. Everyone's taking their seat, and our series is just about to begin. I like the way that they're bringing a lot of the momentum of their success within this month of going into this match, and that's why when I take a look at the Spark, this is a team that you definitely have to feel threatened by if you're playing against them. They just have been consistent, and I love how you brought up Shy, because I feel like Shy has been that main anchor who's been popping off for the rest of Spark, allowing Spark to feel a lot more comfortable, essentially building that foundation that they needed.
Yeah, he's really been the difference maker. And last time they actually met was in the main melee, which was a completely different meta, of course, as we didn't have the hero pools. And they only won one map against the NYXL. They went 3-1 in the end. And they played Godsby, and they hadn't been playing Shy. This is the big turnaround that I've been saying. I love Godsby, I love watching him play, and a very historic player, but right now, Shy's outperforming him. And you can see the exact point where they started to play him, because the Spark were just going up and up. They did end up winning Voskaya after a full hold, but I mean, right now, this team's looking to just 3-0. It's going to be almost we walk in there, we join the server, we click some heads, then we walk away with 3-0. That is what they're expecting, and I think that's what a lot of other people are expecting too, whether you're a fan, analyst, or whoever. Maybe the NYXL get a map here, but I think it's going to be a very tough battle for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Spark are one of those teams that I definitely have on my pick'ems to make it out, and that's just because of their progress so far within this this stage. The NYXL, although they didn't have a great start in the main melee, they seem to have started finding their footing, at least within the June Joust. They were able to beat the Valiant and the Fusion, which the Fusion series that we had seen with the NYXL was probably the most exciting one I've seen between the NYXL, and the way that they were able to make some of those adjustments really shine.
Definitely.
But they were, yeah, but they lost to the Charge in the Seoul Dynasty. You know, but that's a lot better compared to how they performed in the main melee, where they just didn't do so high. I think they lost to every team except when they actually beat the Hangzhou Spark, when the Hangzhou Spark weren't looking so great themselves in the main melee. Yeah. And they made those adjustments, and that's when we talk about Shy coming into the roster and actually making a difference for them this month.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, Vicky, as we load into Oasis. How did they get here? Well, NYXL, they beat the Valiant and the Fusion, like you just said, but everybody's kind of expected to beat the Valiant, right? The Valiant only just picked up their second map of the season last night. And they were playing also against the Fusion roster that was kind of weakened. They weren't playing EQO, which they found mad recent success on. And only having those two as wins, NYXL right now, definitely the underdog. Like, hands down. The Spark, like I mentioned, I think they're just going to walk in here, just imagine they're just going to 3-0. It's up to the NYXL here to step up to that plate.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up getting that 3-0. Just because of the consistency that we've seen within the Spark in comparison to the NYXL on paper, it just makes more sense. But the NYXL have been figuring things out, so we'll see how they do starting off the series here, Jaws, making sure we get that teleportation going forward and to get to the point first.
Yes, indeed. Both teams did end up teleporting forward. A very different look here from the NYXL, running Jonak on the BAP and Friday too. So they're looking for just kind of anti-dive here. They do not want a Spark to get on top of them, because that's where the Spark really do shine. They've got so many good players on their perfect roles. Or not perfect roles, sorry, they're perfect heroes. They have Gushwei on the Monkey. They have Shy on the Echo. Bernard's going to be on that Zarya. He actually gets dominated first. And you can see how difficult it is to jump into the team, Vicky. Like, you're jumping into so many stuns, Immortality Field, and Feather 2, who's going to be sitting there shotgunning any large hitbox target in the face as soon as they try and jump on the backline.
Yeah, and they have Jonak on the Baptiste too, who's already going to have window for this upcoming fight. Luckily, the NYXL take the point first. You can see the Spark trying to get an angle, but they're not trying to get too ahead of themselves here. You can see them backing off a little bit, just trying to get that poke damage from Shy to get this duplicate that he's going to have online.
Yeah, the funny name we've kind of garnered this comp has been Duplicates.
Yep,
there is a nano engage from Gushwei.
Yeah, and he gets pooped out of that situation. He's forced out of the choke point, but he comes right down with the bubble. Now the Diva Bomb coming in from Shy. That's the duplicate, and he still finds Bianca. That's big because Bernard actually demeched him right in time to make sure that Bianca would get out of that fight. Doesn't make a difference for Bianca, though, because he would have been dead anyways. And it's Architect popping off, finding a quick 2. Floor not going to find anybody with the Deadeye. And it's the Spark that have taken this point back from the NYXL. 32%, though, for the NYXL. Not too much extra credit.
The NYXL, though, can make it kind of a slow crawl to this mini health pack room here. The only thing they're really going to fear is this Gushwei Primal Rage, but there should be enough kind of stuns and knockbacks and everything else to stop him from really doing all that damage.
Especially since you have the Brigitte rally too from Friday, maybe to start this engagement. Yakpeng with the supercharger that may want to have some respect if you're the Spark, and there's a supercharger around the wall for protection. You have too. Architect, and the Death Blossom from Architect. He seems to find Feather in the side room, but Feather's gonna back off as he has that Wraith. He hadn't utilized it yet. It's Gushwei taking so much damage, actually trying to jump right behind the NYXL, the Death Blossom from Architect. He gets stunned, and that's that problem when you're trying to go into this backline on the NYXL. You have to deal with Friday, who's now sleeping, but luckily Bernard and Architect find these 2 picks. The Nano Boost from Architect is gonna be so lethal after using that Death Blossom. He gets out in time. He doesn't get hit by the Diva Bomb. Even though he got stunned right there, that's a threat. But luckily, Architect was able to rotate through those abilities, cooldowns perfectly to get right back to the team.
A couple little reflips there. NYXL took the point from the Spark, and the Spark quickly took the point back. They didn't give them too much time. We're looking at almost final fight territory here. Graviton Surge is online. Copy as well from Shy. No real defensive ult available for NYXL. Rally's nowhere really near there. Maybe they can create a space with this window.
And that's not the way you want to try to keep things here if you're trying to take the point. The grab though from Gushwei. Oh, what a big follow-up. And the anti, like you said, Jaws. That's exactly why this is so threatening. And Shy has a duplicate. Is about to get the Diva Bomb. Going to buy some time here considering the fact that no one's here to touch the point.
Oh, Yakpeng gets lasered down just before he can strike OT. And Vicky, I said the NYXL's comp right there, that was very hard to actually dive into. The Spark just managed to rotate their cooldowns just so effectively and were able to pace themselves too. They weren't just all on the gas all the time like a dive composition wants to do. They want to be able to nano Gushwei to jump in. They want to be able to juggle Gushwei in the front and the back line and make sure he is building up that ult charge with MCD. But they weren't just full in, all the backline. Let's go. Let's just punish their supports. Let's get some cooldowns out. No, they were very, very cognizant of just how much damage the NYXL can do and how much lockdown they have as well. Oh, there's Gushwei with the Gumstorm. And look at this anti-nade too, straight on top of 3 of them. And yeah, Gushwei finding the last 3 ticks on 3 of them to find himself a nice little quadra kill there.
And what was extra crazy in that play too was that Immortality Field had been already used to try to save Yakpeng, and unfortunately though, because he used it, he didn't have it for the grab. So that was absolutely crucial there. Trying to rotate through those cooldowns and forcing out that Immortality Field was the Gushwei and Bernard follow-up. Yakpeng now trying to fight for this high ground though. Going on to round 2, the NYXL need to do something, and this is exactly how you start that off. Finding IDK is big, but MCD has shut down Feather. NYXL still have more bodies here on the point with Gushwei going down. I like this start here, and they do get the point first.
Oh, is he going to make it? No, he is not. Goodbye.
Yeah, he took way too much damage.
As soon as you lose IDK there, I mean, you almost have, you either have to finish the fight in your favor very quickly or go for the reset. It's very difficult to rebound from that one. Luckily, MCD got the kill on Feather, but it didn't really matter. And now look at the old banks as well, Vicky. Friday has 63% on his rally. IDK is 30% behind. MCD's got that nano. He's ready to go for this engage. He's probably going to apply it to Gushwei as Shy jumps in over the top as well. Or maybe actually just waiting for this duplicate too.
The duplicate,
so they go in with the nano and dupe the Diva to try and force out some cooldowns and hopefully pick off either Jonak or Feather here.
I'm curious to see what they're going to try to engage with, but meanwhile, Florida is trying to get on the back line. He doesn't have the Death Blossom, but still, he could get Wraith and just Wraith right out of that situation. He gets pooped out, they notice him, and it's Shy the duplicate and Gushwei holding forward. You made note of what a strong player Gushwei is. Now imagine when you have Shy duplicating the Diva, getting a Diva Bomb and sending it forward into the NYXL. Shy, he just got a quick 3K there, actually, being able to follow up from Gushwei. I love that play, and they were able to flip the point in their favor. Although the NYXL 55%, they do have some ultimates coming up online for this upcoming fight.
Yeah, they are playing a little bit split to the NYXL. They want to have Yukpung kind of on the point to make sure it's not taken for free. And you saw Bianca on the high ground, kind of isolated on his own, in his own little world almost, but he has got a little bit of mobility, so can rejoin the team, but it was just way too much with Shy transforming into a Diva, basically turning it into Dive Goats again with Diva's Harrier and the Winston.
Oh.
But here we go. Flora is left on the high ground. Shy's just poking away, and Yukpun has already used his shift. Flora's been naded as well. I mean, this is a very bad start for the NYXL. They're going to have to play a little bit more passive here. Graviton Surge comes out. In fact, everything is being thrown at the NYXL.
Oh, and that has the rally too from IDK to keep this engagement up, and not enough charge from Bernard, but enough to tickle. Feather goes down, and the Immortality build's been forced out. They're gonna anti-Flora and shut down Flora too. A DPS attempt from the NYXL when Feather had that duplicate there, Jaws, unfortunately just got snubbed. When you have Gushue too getting a 2K, you highlighted Gushue, and just he's had such a large impact for the Spark.
Yeah, Flora tried to make a solo hero play just then. You see him kind of diving to the back line and trying to catch Bernard unawares. Bernard already had his self-bubble available. He doesn't really need to use it in these fights like straight away. He can rely on Gushue to build up a lot of that charge for him. So he was ready with Flora just diving in on him. I can just use Bubble as soon as you use that Death Blossom. I'll absorb all the damage and turn it into some more of my own.
Oh, he's gonna have to use Immortality Field. There it is, the window too, but you can currently see the way that the Spark are forcing them out of the line of sight. Yeah, they have to touch the point soon. We're already nearly at 95%, but there may not even be enough bodies, Jaws, with Architect finding two. Architect gets stunned, but luckily he has IDK right there. MCD taking a lot of damage, but it's the NYXL that are just dropping like flies. They have to clean up Feather before they can fully take this map, and coming in is gonna be Yakpon rolling in, but nobody else left to sustain it.
Wow, what a map to start us off. The Spark looking so clean on this comp. I want to mention as well how much pressure MCD and IDK were under. Zero pressure whatsoever. I don't think they even got damaged, I feel, in the majority of this. If we had a damage taken stat, they'd probably be at the lowest. Like, there was nothing that was attacking them. NYXL couldn't actually engage on top of them. And one of the reasons for that was because they were playing the Orisa. You can't just send Flora at the back. You can't just send the Diva as well. Your comp relies on you kind of absorbing the pressure of Gushue and Bernard and Shy, and then kind of springboarding back. You've got a lot of stuns, a lot of up close and personal damage, but if you can't springboard back, those springs may be a little bit rusty, need a little bit oiling. You're just absorbing that, and then Gushue's running away with the game. And Shy doing infinite damage, and then transforming it to Diva and destroying the backline. Like, they can't execute against Spark the way they want to. They want to just be able to push back and punish Gushue for going so aggressive, but the Spark, they're playing it tempered. They're not just diving in, looking for these support kills. They know exactly what they need to do. They need to wait for the nano, send Gushue in, Shy follows as well, and then it's all over, Vicky.
Yeah, their cooldown rotation's also impeccable. We noted that in the first round, and overall, I feel like the NYXL is playing a lot more split up than what we're seeing from the Spark. Obviously, though, the Spark are able to pick them off one by one. This is an important series here, Jaws. It's the regional knockouts for the Eastern region for the whole day today. And only 2 teams from the Eastern region are going to be able to proceed on to compete in the June Joust. Currently, the Spark, though, are up a game in the series. Don't go anywhere. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we're going to come back with some more June Joust knockout tournament action.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone, to our first series here in the June Joust Regional Knockouts. We're looking at the Eastern region. It's the NY Excel versus the Spark. The Spark, though, have been on a tear this month, Jaws, and they just took the first map in this super important series.
Yeah, they've lost 2 maps, Vicky, leading up to today in the June Joust. Like, that is not a number to scoff at. The Spark are just dominating currently. And as we step into the next map, it being Temple of Anubis, I gotta think it's going to go the same way. The NYXL not really coming up with the answers right now that the Spark are throwing at. So all the questions that the Spark are throwing at them, they can't find those answers. They need a cheat sheet. How do you do it, Vicky? Guangzhou is just so good, and his ability to dive in with Shy is they're just so precise. And they're also playing against an NYXL comp that kind of wants them to dive into you. I mentioned it on Oasis, but they kind of want to springboard back out. They want you to dive in, they burst damage you down or stun you and kind of lock you in place, and then bam, they do all this damage. Your tank dies, and then they roll over you from there, with the Orisa just kind of helping the supports just stay alive. But the problem is, when Shy and Guangzhou get to your backline, Shy already has copy, Guangzhou receives nano, and there's nothing stopping them just running through your whole team, regardless of that immortality field, or even just the Brigitte just existing. They're going to be on the offense first, that is the NYXL, and they're looking like they just want to run with this comp over and over again. They are not running with this Kree this time, however. They're going to have Feather on that Echo and Flora on the Reaper. So same kind of. They want to play the same kind of way. Feather's just going to be here to duel out with Shy up in the sky. The only person he's going to have to rely on for heals, though, is going to be Friday. Jonak's not going to be able to hit too many of those air shots. So in essence, Shy is going to have a little bit more protection than Feather will, because MCD is going to be able to just hit him in the air with that hit scan fire when you scope him with the Arna.
Right, and that's the trade-off you're going to have when Jonak has that immortality field. Shy, though, is still putting on some pressure. I love the positioning that we're seeing from the Spark, but I even love better the punish that we're seeing from Feather onto Guangzhou. That's a big pick, and you already see the NYXL wasting absolutely no time. Feather needs to boot Shy off of this high ground. He has some help up there, and it's Jonak who's going to hold back a little bit. He has the window to help protect them. And they're going to just move in here for free. I mean, Shy's still on the high ground there. He's probably just trying to wait. Yeah, and Architect's right there. I mean, it's right there, too. Guangzhou is coming back. This is what they wanted, but they didn't touch the time. Shy and Architect were right there. They actually just wanted to wait for Guangzhou to engage, but they took way too long. And now that Yakpong has found Architect, this is going to put a dent to the NY, or rather, the Spark's plans, because now they're dropping like flies. The NYXL only lost both of their supports. I mean, that's pretty big, but still, the Saban is right there, and they're going to be able to get right back to this next choke point.
Yeah, although it was kind of a nice little fight there from Spark, just trying to get as much ult charge as possible, because now they're going to have to beat out the NYXL. Yakpong's just going to walk forward, plant that supercharger down, and the rest of the team are probably going to be able to get ults online using that boosted damage. The saving grace, though, for the Spark, they've got that combo up again, Vicky. They've got copy, and they have that nano. So Guangzhou and Shy can just dive in on the backline and just disintegrate Friday and Jonak.
Essentially what we had seen in the last map, and that's very possible here, especially with the way that they've been able to follow up. Guangzhou is just going to get out of that situation, of course, waiting to just disengage with that ability. You see them funneling over to the side. That some intel is getting ready and getting put into position. You have the nano boost that you made mention of, and the rally now from IDK. We're going to see Flora teleport. He has the bubble on him too, just in case to protect him. He has a Death Blossom, and the Spark know exactly what he wants. Look how spread out they're playing, but it doesn't matter. They grab Flora, isolate him, anti him. They make sure that he has a troublesome time. Architect goes down from that Death Blossom, but the supercharger from Shy after using that duplicate can help turn this fight in Spark's favor after losing Guangzhou. This is the opportunity now for the NYXL to try to take this point as quickly as possible. They're nearly there for the first point. IDK's gone, and he's not in this fight, and neither is Benar. They're trading that for Feather here, and Architect dies again. He couldn't even escape because you have Friday too busy shield bashing your face. You can see he's already about to round up to another rally. Jonak almost with another window. You're nearly right there here, Jaws, to try to take this whole point, and look at this time bank, 3 minutes and nearly 50 seconds.
IDK has gone down, they're just trickling onto the point now. If Architect can get back and make use of his ult, they might be good, but it doesn't look likely. He gets one shot by Flora, and that'll finish it off. 3 minutes and 42 seconds for the NYXL attacking that second point.
Oh.
My word, the Spark just got kind of rolled over there. Their ideal plan, Vicky, in allowing Gushue to receive the nano, they copy, they jump in, they kill someone on the back line, was thwarted completely. The Graviton Surge from the NYXL, locking Gushue in place, destroying him. He had Primal Rage. He popped it, he was already grabbed. And then I liked the counter grab here from Spark, making sure the Reaper, Flora, couldn't do anything with his Death Blossom after he killed one. But the problem was, Vicky, even though he got naded, he didn't get finished off. So as soon as that Death Blossom ended, he hit shift. And then he just walked away. He literally just walked. He was like, oh, well, floated, I guess. He doesn't walk in that form.
You're right.
You know what I mean. He just floated away back to the rest of his team. So that Graviton Surge was basically for nothing.
Yeah, and it was like just making sure the nail in the coffin was there. They threw out the ante there too. Architect was the one that was having the least amount of fun because he was holding on to that Death Blossom for a while. The 3 times he came out of spawn, first time he got stunned, he got taken care of. Second time he comes out, they focus down on Architect. Third time's a charm, right? You come in, nope. They make sure the Architect can't do anything about the fact that the NY sells us. Yeah.
The Q button sometimes on Reaper acts like the fire Q. You press Q and you die, because he can't use his Wraith when he's in that form. He also can't cancel the Death Blossom either, so you're kind of stuck. You have to rely on your team to kind of back you up, D.Va to bait through in Defense Matrix, or the rest of your team to just kind of help you in general. But that's not there. Architect pressing Q in those situations, I don't think would have made the difference maker, because Bianca would have just absorbed that in those bubbles, or Yukpung would have just hit shift, you know, that fortified, that reduces all that damage and stops you from getting headshot. Here we go now. The Spark on their offense. Same kind of thing. We're probably just going to see this the entire night, because IDK and MCD with this backline combo makes it almost impossible to dive. Gushue's just going to kind of juggle himself up onto this high ground over and over again, building towards that nano boost. MCD is 65% of the way there already, but right now, and what we saw on Oasis, Flora is on the McCree, so even if he does jump in, he's going to get perma-stunned along with that break. But Bianca, unfortunately, ends up going down. That's a long walk back from that D.Va. Gushue is going to be able to get a lot quicker. In fact, they actually nano Bernard, who kills off Friday.
Oh, and look at the amount of energy that Bernard has, having so much damage coming out. And also, MCD so consistent on stopping Bianca, putting Bianca to sleep like twice there in that engagement it looked like. And now MCD's gone down. That's a big pick to help Jonak keep the rest of NYXL together. They're forced to disengage. You see Bianca trying to get into position to actually create some space and be a threat, but they still have the Spark on both angles. They don't want to find themselves getting sandwiched, especially when Gushue is trying to get into position.
Yeah, Jonak killing MCD there was pretty big. It just meant Spark couldn't just kind of rush them down, knowing that they lacked a tank. Maybe comes the engage onto the front line now, as Yukpung is very, very low as Shy transforms into the D.Va.
And this is a threat too, as Shy, he gets booted out of the mech, but doesn't have the duplicate, not the duplicate, but the D.Va bomb instead. Friday actually stunning Shy. That's a threat, but being able to get right back into your mech as quickly as possible. Spells success, doesn't find anyone. Luckily, the building's right there to resort to. Feather, yeah, Feather's right there too, bringing this fight close quarters. When you're in this side room, you are just part of the Reaper sandwich that you don't want to get eaten up by. Bianca's found Bernard, and here comes a Death Blossom that Architect was able to build. Feather's turn now as he's going to get the Death Blossom himself. Gushue's in this primal. They stop Gushue and they do so much damage. The Spark were nearly there, but unfortunately, they only were able to get that one tick here. I love the way the Spark are playing, and it's the NYXL now that are forced into the side room. But look at those ultimates now, Jaws, as they unleash. Gushue gets stunned. What can they do? Nothing, because he gets melted.
Oh, beautiful sleep. MCD puts down. Flora cancels that high noon. They're going to be able to re-engage though now as Jonak is back into the fight. Yukpung 2 arrived on the point, so now the Spark have to go again. They have acquired 2 ticks, but they've only got a minute remaining now, Vicky.
I Feather had used his Death Blossom in that side room and no one was there, maybe trying to cover some space, but that could have been crucial here for this potential last fight. We're gonna have Architect still hanging out to this high ground. NYXL, they're grouped together and grouped a lot more consistently in comparison to what we had seen in the first map.
They're all on high ground now though, Vicky, and Shy has that duplicate available too. So all he needs to do is transform into Bianca. Jonax going to be the first target, force out a Mortality Field, and you might just find the win. Bernard's already down though, and IDK is to follow too. The window's doing too much damage.
And the fact too here that you not only have to deal with the window, but you have Architect holding on to the high ground, and now they've isolated him. There's nowhere for him to go, and now you have less than 30 seconds to try to get this point.
30 seconds for 33%. It's going to be 10 seconds, roughly, before they even try and make their engage. You can see everybody kind of spawning in. Shy has still got that duplicate online, but Friday's going to have the rally to deal with it. As soon as he hits Shy, hit that duplicate, he's going to hit Rally almost instantly. In fact, he's a little bit behind. Only 1 more %, he should do it.
Oh, and they do here. They boot Shy off, and unfortunately, he can't get back, and it's OT here for the NYXL to keep holding back the Spark to potentially force the Spark to lose a 3rd map of the month. And Floor finds Bernard. This is how you do it here. Architect is 1, and he can't even use a Death Blossom again in this last fight. Yapon's on fire, he finds 2, and Floor is unstoppable. Jaws, the NYXL successfully hold this defense around the Spark.
Wow, what a defense from the Spark, from the NYXL even. Unreal, you can see. I saw Flora's happy face there as he just jumps up from his chair. Spark not looking so happy. I mean, like I mentioned at the start of the series, Vicky, they're very much expected to win this. They have been looking so good with Shy in the roster. Their game plan seems flawless, sending him in with Copy and Goushway with the Nano and just demolishing the backline. But it's just not happening right now. The NYXL managed to hold them on first. It was a struggle for them to capture 2nd point, but it very much felt like they were in control of the game. They almost felt like they read their game plan on Oasis and was like, okay, we've downloaded you now. We're ready to rock and roll with Anubis.
And you can't sleep too, because now the NYXL are building some of that momentum. We're tied in the series 1-1 between the Spark and the NYXL. Don't go anywhere, because at the other side of this break, we're going to be moving on to a map number 3.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. and by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone, to the East Region Knockouts presented by Xfinity. Jaws, we have an even series on our hands, and the NYXL, they seem to have gotten it together because we saw them adapt, and they overcame the Spark in that second map.
Oh yeah, they did. Their comp very much suited Anubis as well. Using that Orisa and the D.Va to control the space on the high ground, and then the Orisa to control the space on the point, protecting Jonak, protecting Friday on the BAP and the Brig respectively. And it was very difficult to get anything done. There was a lot of very, very small plays that were happening off camera. There are so many little interactions that sometimes you don't see, especially in these kind of comps. With the dupla goats, the dive goats kind of thing, but for what I meant was for NYXL's comp. There was a point where Jonak through the window killed MCD, which halted Spark's push, which they initially actually found a kill off. And they were able to halt MCD out of a very, very small cubby, and boom, Jonak was already pre-firing and insta-killed MCD, and it put a real dampener on the Spark. But now we head over to Numbani, and this comp from the Spark very much favors Numbani. These high grounds are so easily accessible. The problem here for NYXL, or the problem they might run into, is if Yukpung forfeits this high ground. If he forfeits the high ground and goes solo, and Gu Shui and Shai and Bernard are able to control that, this first point is going to be very hard to defend.
Especially since their goal for the last two maps seems to be to try to split up the NYXL, try to sandwich them, especially Gu Shui, who tries to dive into those initial engagements, forces them off of that high ground. Now we're going to retreat here. Jaws and the Spark are actually just trying to get into position to try to contest the NYXL on that high ground.
Yeah, they are. You see everybody from the NYXL kind of just chilling. Feather is just waiting for them to come through the door. Gu Shui gets grabbed back in, but that nade's going to be good from MCD. So they can go two ways here. They can continue to go up these stairs, or they can go coast side and jump up from there. But the problem is Bernard is not on the D.Va, so the only thing that's going to be good for Gu Shui here is the bubbles. That's not ideal when you want to go coast, because you want your other tank off the high ground as well, absorbing some of that damage. MCD and Gu Shui get just evaporated, turned back into atoms. They kill Flora, but the spawn positions are so close, it shouldn't really matter. It's just about this first initial breach here, Vicky. The first breach for the Spark. Can they get through the airlock that Yukpung has created on this high ground? If they can, it's good. If they can't, they're just going to be halted here forever. And with Jonak having a window now as well, it's going to make it a whole lot worse.
And the fact that they're fighting in close quarters against Feather, look at Feather's Death Blossom in comparison to Architect. I mean, just the amount of damage that they've been able to put out, and Yukpung pulling the rest of the Spark together, it's difficult to deal with.
They want Nano right now. Like, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to juggle Gu Shui in and out of this corner and wait for this Nano. So they're now going to go main. Nano Gu Shui up into high ground. Shai's almost got the ult as well. In fact, it just came up online. This is the engagement they're looking for.
Yeah, they're also opting to go for a different option. Here comes Gu Shui, though, and the Nano Boost that you were just mentioning. MCD putting it onto Gu Shui. He's about to get the Primal. Shai already pulling the trigger on the duplicate. About to get the D.Va Bomb, and they're almost nearly there. They didn't get it just yet. It looks like now they just did. The Deadeye from Flora as he gets put to sleep. Huge sleep dart that we've been seeing from MCD come out, especially after that last game. Currently, Bernard has found Feather, and the way that the NYXL are falling here is not the way that the NYXL wants to play, especially with both the support fallen Jaws. Unfortunately, they're going to have to go for a reset. Great way for the Spark now to take this point. They've executed that perfectly, actually rotating through those ults to split up the NYXL like we've seen throughout the series.
Yeah, going roam was perfect. You notice Yukpung actually dropped down off the high ground. And what did I say? You drop down off high ground, you give up so much space and room. And who was up on high? Well, it was Shai. His self-destruct there almost triple killed. It was Jonak's Immortality Field that saved them from that duplicated self-destruct. The issue was, as soon as that goes down, Gu Shui then went to town. And then, you mentioned it perfectly, Vicky, Spark, all they want to do is separate the NYXL, and that's exactly what they did. Using Bernard's Graviton Surge to lock a couple of people down as well, as Gu Shui was just roundhousing people left, right, and center using that Primal Rage.
Yeah, absolutely. And then displace Yukpung, that's huge. A big ante though onto Friday in Florida. Luckily, Friday has that rally to keep the rest of the NYXL alive, and they're going to dive and make sure that Architect isn't a problem. Florida though, and using that window, the Deadeye and the damage, finding Architect and MCD. The Spark are at a huge disadvantage with Gushue taking too much damage, and they're going to want to go for a reset now.
Oh boy, Architect keeps dying first. Like, he keeps teleporting to the backline and Flora stuns him every single time. Or it's either Friday or Flora, the flashbang or the shield flash. One of the two. It doesn't matter which one because he dies anyway. He just gets spammed the hammered. That's not really where you want to be as Architect. Yeah, you want to be in the background, but you've got to make sure you're playing at a safe distance. They are going to go in once again with this copy, I can imagine, but it's actually NYXL starting this off with a bomb.
No.
Okay, now Shy goes down. That's more time off the bank now for the Spark. They got 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. They're going to have to wait for this nano again, I feel, but they have got grabs, so they could even just have Shy transform into Bianca and just all in that grab.
They're just trying to buy so much time away from the Spark. Shy, though, coming back. Architect also has that Death Blossom, trying to find a position. Gushue diving all in, has the Primal despite getting stunned, and it's going to be Shy that had 3 tanks on board for the Spark. So many ultimates to work with. Shy takes a lot of damage. He gets demexed immediately, and it's Gushue who's splitting the piece. Talk about splitting the NYXL. It's Gushue who's doing a lot of that. Shy's going to be able to utilize the Diva Bomb. He doesn't find anyone, but it's Friday who's finding IDK. It's a good start for the NYXL, but they've lost Flora and the Deadeye, and the Death Blossom from Architect, finding everyone, and the Spark are going to get this payload moving to the second point. May not be enough time, Jaws, for the NYXL to recuperate and get onto this point.
Yeah, they've got Lucio, so it's going to be pretty tough to get back without it being a weird, staggered fight. I can imagine they're just going to give Architect priority on this corner first. Yeah, it looks to be that way. Normally we say 0.2 on Nvani. Oh, no, they're actually going to go for the touch.
Oh,
0.01 meters. Okay.
Oh, a pixel away, and he has a Death Blossom. Flora comes back with the Deadeye. The Death Blossom gets booped out of the way. The Immortality Field from Jonak to keep them
Big
at
grab,
bay.
big grab.
But the Spark and the big grab coming in. You see Yakpunk getting out of it. He has a supercharger. Oh, Jaws, the way that this is going back and forth, they finally find Feather. He's the first victim to fall in this team fight, and a huge ante onto Jonak and Flora. Hopefully with this window, though, they could buy some respect after finding Bernard, and it's Flora who's been able to find that head. He's gone out of this fight, and Friday is anti. Can he do anything? No, he's gone. Gushue is terrorizing the piece on the back line.
He is, yeah, but Jonak, oh no. Oh. Gushue, the rising uppercut there, managed to take out Jonak, but the spawns are very
Still
much in favor of the
contesting.
NYXL here. You look, Jonak, he's going to have to back off. The self-destruct's going to clear everybody else's way as well.
Oh, the way that the Spark have not given this up. They disengage just briefly, just reposition, and that's what this high ground offers. Shy now has a focusing beam onto Yakpung. Another big ante that MCD has been so consistent with. The Death Blossom from Architect. He can fall from the skies. They won't see it coming. He could try to find a situation here, and here he goes, utilizing it, finding 4. Architect has been absolutely on fire with this Reaper.
Oh man, maybe his flank TPs aren't that great, Vicky, but he knows exactly when to press Q. And normally as Reaper as well, you just want to be using Death Blossom to finish fights, and that's exactly what he does. It was really unfortunate for the NYXL that Yakpung actually went down first. That's stable Orisa on the payload that is able to just juggle the shields. Going down means that Bianca and Flora are going to have to be there to touch, and Feather, of course, too. There is an unfortunate kill onto Shy, which does result in Spark actually having to back all the way up. They only get a minute to finish this payload as well, Vicky. This is going to be an overtime if it's going to be anything. Flora, does he know he's walking into 5 people? Yeah, well, he does now. He ends up backing off. But this is going to be a very quick engage, I can imagine. They got Nano and Rally. The Spark just looking to set up for success here.
Shy needs to be careful. The fact that Shy got picked off there bought a lot of time for the NYXL to hold back the Spark. We're seeing a different rotation, though, approach from Architect, and he does have Gushue right there to help enable him. The way that you currently have this corner being controlled by the NYXL is all actually due to the fact that Shy had gone down. The Deadeye finds Shy!
He was too high.
He constantly finds these hits! Yeah, Shy unfortunately just didn't see it coming. Gushue got stunned, and now having the rally from Friday is going to buy even more time for the NYXL. The window and the Death Blossom, where are you going to go if you're the Spark? They find Bernard, and now they have less than 10 seconds, Jaws, to get on the payload.
I don't think they're going to be able to make it back in time. Gushue, I think, just killed 2 people of his own team. He booped Feather with his ultimate back into the rest of his team. MCD kills Flora, but it doesn't matter because he is literally in NYXL's spawn. I want to get a replay of that one because Feather wanted to clear up that fight. There was a shield down in front of him or near him that he kind of juggle his way in and out of. His own shield, his Orisa's shield. but Guangzhou landed on top of them Primal Rage and looked like he pushed the Reaper into his backline. That is not what you want to do. It's like, oh, special delivery. Oh man, I got to see that fight again. The death bosses have been so good, and that one to finish up the fight from Feather was fantastic, but it was aided by Guangzhou. This is Architect's cleanup for these points, and it has been these death bosses that have really been sealing the deal. We'll have to see how Spark want to defend this. It's going to be the same comp. We're probably just going to see these mirrored the entire night. Unless Flora does, it might want out with the Hangzhou here. You control a little bit more of the high ground, but you're going to get punished almost instantly. So I think the Kree is better in this situation just because of the stuns. But we'll have to wait and see if he does stick on this one.
Especially when you have Shy, Guangzhou, Architect all trying to control that high ground. It could be difficult if you're Flora. He helps to stick with this, but we'll see. I mean, Numbani does provide that high ground range for Hangzhou to flourish, but when you have to deal with the Echo and Architect, of course,
you're sitting behind shields
like,
as well.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to be doing. So the high ground's going to be only going to be accessible where your shield is. So he's not going to be going on these big flanks. He's just going to be there to punish Guangzhou's diving again. It kind of works in the same way Fan the Hammer does. The Storm Arrows just does infinitely more damage because of the headshot potential as well, which isn't there with the Fan the Hammer. Unless the game just came out, of course, which is when Fan the Hammer could headshot, which was very cool. If anybody remembers the good old days.
Only pain.
Only pain. Only pain. Do you remember the McCree Revolver 2 shooting infinitely slower as well? That it felt like a cannon. Like it was like bang, bang. Oh, it felt so clean. I like the quicker
Scatter
firing
also
speed
felt like
now,
a
though.
cannon.
Oh my god, yeah. Hangzhou's still shooting logs, man. Those hitboxes on those arrows, I swear to god, they are so inconsistent sometimes. I say that as I normally just walk in a straight line towards Hangzhou. I'm not trying to blame it on the game, it's normally just me.
Talking about walking in a straight line, the way that Yakun is consistently finding these picks onto Shy has been huge. And not only has Yakun been put to sleep, but he also gets antied. Luckily, Jonex on the Baptiste to help save him with the immortality field. He's taking a lot of damage, but talking about Hangzhou, talking about the Dragons, Flora's found 2, and Bianca is going to match him, make it a 3K for Flora. The NYXL, they've gotten it together, wasting no time, 5 minutes in the time bank to get this payload moving, Jones.
Alright, Flora's feeling himself a little bit there. 2 little headshots, followed up with a Storm Arrow shot into Shy. Make that a 3-piece. That'll be a meal to go. Now, we're seeing Architect on the Genji. Okay, so they just want to dive straight in and just kill Flora. That is the game plan. Just kill Flora straight away. Pansy uses the dash. He hasn't really got too much else to protect him. But right now, the Spark comp, not quite finding much. It's Jonak on Friday. I'm managing to keep the tanks alive through all this engagement. The immortality feels from Jonak has just been so good, and you definitely expect this from a veteran support player like Jonak. And he's performing out of his mind right now.
Also, Architect doing Architect things, trying to be the building block for the team with the Genji. We've seen this so many times from Architect. And the grab to isolate
What are you doing there, son?
Oh, he was called out of position. Oh, unfortunately caught on 4K. Now Bianca is going to help get this max charge. Look at all this damage coming in. The NYXL, they're quite literally on a roll, and they've built up so much momentum. They're going to get this payload at the second point with no one from the Spark to touch.
The idea of the Spark's comp is to split the NYXL. The Spark comp got split by NYXL there. What was that? I don't know why MCD was so far to the left. He potentially going for a nade so he can help Benar set up with a Graviton Surge.
That was risky.
It was so risky. He ended up dying for it, and then the rest of the Spark were just kind of found solo. Shy ended up copying, couldn't find much. And now we're on the final corner, Vicky, with 5 minutes to go as well. And Benar's already dead.
Ultimate. And he had the grab. He dies with the grab. And IDK had pulled the trigger on the rally. Look at all the damage
they
he's
lose
taking.
right here, Vicky.
Oh, this is not the way you want things to go. If you're the Spark, they have no support either. That's it. The payload has reached its point. The NYXL now are at match point. 2-1 now over the Spark.
This is not what I expected coming into today, and I'm not sure it's what the Spark expected either. That homestand buff's going to have to come in big time this next map, because NYXL are now on that point. This is a ridiculous showing, honestly. The Spark have only lost 2 maps up until today. And now they are down 2 more. They've doubled their map losses in a single series. This is a ridiculous performance right now. The Spark comp, it looks so clean on Oasis. They knew exactly how to execute against what the NYXL were running with the Orisa. But now they just look a little bit lost. These dives aren't as coordinated as they once seemed to be. These nanos onto Gushway with Shy copying and jumping in. It looked like it was going to be a good map as well for Numbani, for their comp specifically. First looked relatively easy for them when they got those ultimates online, but after that, just kind of crumbled. It was on Architect to clean up the fights with his Death Blossom, and apart from that, the Streets phase, normally it doesn't exist, Vicky. Point B, Numbani, it doesn't exist. It's a mirage in the desert some of the time, or most of the time. But they're able to snowball on just with those Death Blossoms. But the NYXL, they're catching MCD off guard completely, just out in the middle of nowhere, in no man's land. And then they're able to pick apart the rest of Spark. And the Spark can't really regroup as quickly as they want to, because they don't have a Lucio either. Like, I don't know, man. This is crazy. The Spark are now down 2 maps. They need to be able to almost set up this reverse sweep now. Otherwise, they're out. And the first seed are going to go down to 4th seed. This is insane, Vicky.
This is not what the script said. I don't know if I just got an outdated version of the script, but the NYXL are performing and they've adjusted. And after that take on Numbani to get that payload moving, that was when everything just snowballed away from the Spark. They just did not know what to do. They were not able to regroup on time. You made mention MCD was called out. They gotta get themselves together. They're currently performing in front of a live audience, and they want to make sure that they impress their fans, especially in this series that determines everything for the Hangzhou Spark. Let's find out if the NYXL take the entire series. We'll go on to the potential final map for the NYXL at the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile.
Welcome back, everyone, to the regional knockouts. Jaws, what a series this has been. The NYXL are currently at map point. The Spark, they were able to take the first map. This is our first seeded team in the APAC region. Meanwhile, they're just one map away from being completely taken out of the June Joust.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people's pick'ems are going to get boomed as well. The NYXL made it here today by beating the Valiant and also kind of a weakened Fusion. And this is a scary situation for the Spark to be in. I can imagine they looked at the NYXL and were like, okay, so they haven't beaten these crazy teams. The Fusion have looked good in recent times, of course. Let's not take away from that. But when they weren't playing EQO, they were a little bit lackluster. And the Valiant, everybody is kind of expected to beat. The Spark, on the other hand, have beat Dragons 3-0, and they had only lost 2 maps up until today. I think that is such an important thing to hit on, because right now, the NYXL are just, if you remove the names from both the teams and all the players and whatnot, you'd be like, okay, so it's Spark that's winning, right? But it's completely the opposite. The NYXL are just demolishing the Spark currently. They know exactly, and I said it in map number 2, they've downloaded the comp from the Spark and have just internalized the information, and now they can springboard back and deal the damage to the Spark. And Guangzhou and Shy have been instrumental to the Spark's roster, but apart from Oasis, their dives, their nano engages with the Echo copy have just looked, well, just not great. They're caught out a couple of times as well. MCD got solo grabbed Vicky on point B of Nabani. It's not looking good, but Homestand buff, there you go, they put it on. You can see all the fans cheering along already. They got to use that right now, Vicky. They got to use that power.
They gotta, the crowd needs to breathe some life into the Spark, because they definitely look deflated after that one. And again, this is such a big deal, because this is our first seed team that could potentially just drop down to that 4th place spot that we were talking about earlier. But the NYXR are looking so good, and it's interesting too, because recently, I feel like just a few days ago, Jonak had an interview and he was talking about how his goals are to be the best team captain for the NYXL. He wants to keep the rest of these players together, and although in that first map it looked pretty convincing that the Spark were able to take it over the NYXL, the adjustments that you just made note on that the NYXL have made have been enough to really gain this momentum in the mid-series. And now if they take this potential last map, that's it. The NYXL qualify for the June Joust tournament.
Yeah, Jonak's the veteran on this roster as well. He's been on the NYXL team since its inception, all the way back a number of years ago at this point, and he's leading a lot of these rookie players too. Flora, who recently turned 18, Feather, Friday as well. Yukpung and Bianca have been in the league before on teams like Toronto Defiant, of course, but have been cycled into the team. So Jonak, yeah, being that leader, being the thing that NYXL need to drive them forward. The team previously was all about Jonak. They pocket Jonak to the high heavens, Vicky, and then he pops off. He starts clicking head on the Zen. This is how this guy is known. This is why this guy is so famous, because he is just a cracked support player, like a ridiculous Zen player, but now stepping into a more leader role where he's not the focus of the team, where it's his rookies that he has to command forwards and just be this standout figure for the roster and be the hyung, is what they call it in Korean culture, and that is exactly what he's been doing. It is normally the Flora and Feather show right now, so a stark contrast to what the team has seen in previous years.
Yeah, and you know, we made mention earlier that the NYXL beat the Spark in the May Melee, but that was, of course, when the Spark looked different. Shy wasn't there to really help the foundation of the Spark. You know, the NYXL seemed to have figured something out around the Spark that has really transitioned into the June Joust. As we get set up, though, here, we're starting things off, and the Spark are on the attack.
Wow, so Shy and Architect have already switched here. Shy is now on the Korean, Architect on the Echo. And Guangzhou, yeah, he's running that Orisa. Almost a mirror comp for the Spark. They're like, well, our Monkey and our Echo are not doing so hot. How about we try a little bit of mirroring? He said this time around, they've got the Echo instead of the Reaper. So this comp is just all about poking people down. There's a lot more shield pressure on the side of the Spark, or at least long-range shield pressure, that is. Feather has to get up close and personal with the Orisha shield in order to demolish it. High ground advantage now for the Spark, but NYXL not going to let this go down easy. Look at this window instantly opened and pushes Gushway and the rest of the Spark down to the low ground.
Oh! And Flora following up too, making sure Architect had nowhere to go. And they're gonna chase here. And you talked about having to fight close quarters. Well, that's exactly what they're bringing to the Spark. Flora goes down, but without Flora, you were able to find two there. Bianca also try to clean things up, and great start for the NYXL on the defense. They also have enough time to get right back into position on the high ground.
What's funny too, actually, was the NYXL really struggled the other week when they played against the Charge. Choice of One's Echo was just so good in that series. The NYXL just couldn't deal with it. It really feels like they practiced a lot against Echo teams and been able to understand how Echoes want to play and learn how to play around it without an Echo of their own. Right now, Architect just switched over to the Echo rather than Shy, so a different style almost, and in this comp, a very different style of how you play Echo. You don't want to dive in, you want to be the pokey, long range, just shooting shields kind of Echo and then burning people down when people get low. Floor is now on the Ash, so Architect has to be a little bit more careful. Deadeye to open it up, but it should just clear some space.
On Architect as well with the duplicate, copying the Diva. Now with that space though, you can see the Spark trying to get right behind the NYXL, and they found Yapung. That's a big pick, and Architect with another pick onto Jonek. Make it crucial when you lose your main tank and your Baptiste, no immortality field, and the NYXL now are starting to look mortal. With Shy going down, he still was able to find one in the process. Architect's gonna be able to push all the way up to get some space for the rest of the Spark to push this payload.
They're going to be able to touch though, Vicky. You can see Yakpun galloping to the payload. They're going to have the Supercharger online momentarily as well as that window too, so they can create so much space, forcing the rest of the Spark all the way back and even potentially making them use Rally for this engagement.
Oh, the Diva Bomb though, charging into the backline. Luckily they have the building right there to retreat. Jonek with the window again. MCD not there just yet. It's Shy with the Deadeye, and the Supercharger too, they get rid of it. That's actually the Dynamite that negates it, and Bob now comes in. They're gonna make sure that Bob isn't a problem. Not the 7th man on the field for the NYXL, but Feather now with the Death Blossom and Floor popping up. That was actually a follow-up too from the pool that we just saw from Yakpung, and also the Supercharger really enabling the NYXL with this damage boost.
60 seconds remaining, Vicky, and NYXL are going to be able to hold the Spark on the first. What an unbelievable turnaround. Friday right now has Rally. Well, he will do in a couple of seconds, of course. Flora is potentially going to have another Bob too. Look at the ultimate bang for the Spark. Pretty bare. IDK switched over to the Mercy to give additional damage to Shy and Architect. More or less Shy in this kind of composition. You want the Architect to kind of do his own kind of thing. Maybe the dupe comes online as well, but they're going to have a tough time against all this stacking armor that Friday provides.
Oh, Jaws, they have less than 30 seconds to get this first point. The NYXL are doing so good on the defense. Very similar to what we had seen on Numbani from this team. Feather trying to find an angle. Friday has the Rally to start this engagement.
There's the engage.
Yep, and then there you see it. They're trying to circle around the Spark, taking some damage. It's going to be Shy. He's nearly won. They're forced onto the bridge, and they've isolated Shy. This is not what you want to see on overtime. They at least start to contest it. Architect has the duplicate, but maybe too late when you have Feather controlling your backline. He teleports onto the high ground, and now they just have to make sure that they can clean up around Architect and make sure they can fully hold the Spark. This is too late. They're trickling in now.
Too little, too late. The Spark are going to get held on first. The NYXL
It's happening, Josh. I can't believe
an extremely clear win condition right now. That payload was a couple of meters before that first point, so they just need to get it first. That is all. One clean fight will do it. Normally these comps don't really lead to clean fights because there's a lot of sustain, a lot of survivability. The Orisa takes a long time to take down when she has her Fortify, her Golden, her Shift, whatever you want to call it. You have the Reaper, of course, too, very difficult to take down with the Wraith form. Like, these fights aren't really decisive unless there's a big Death Blossom or a big self-destruct. So it will be a little bit more of a staggered fight for the Spark if they do lose the initial engagement. But the NYXL stepping up big time against the Spark.
Hello.
And you got to be shaking too if you're the Spark right now. I mean, we talked about the homestand buff, playing against your, playing with your home crowd, Vicky.
Their record
but sometimes
too.
Yeah, sometimes it can work in the opposite way as well. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders to perform on stage. After such a long period of time too, where you've been playing at home, playing in your facilities.
Yeah. That is very true, actually. And you have to consider, like, you know, nerves are definitely a thing. Gotta shake things off. I'm shaking, I'm not even the Spark. I mean, just this is insane what we're seeing from the NYXL. This would be a huge upset. And the way that they've been performing on the defense is just insane. Now it's their time to push this payload to where the Spark couldn't.
Okay, same kind of comps here. The Spark, though, this time around, not choosing to run this Echo, so they can't match Feather, but they do have Shy to kind of check it. The only issue with that... Oh, it doesn't look like maybe Friday is switching. Okay, I was going to mention the only issue with that is that with the Mercy Pocket, the Ashe is a little bit less effective because you almost have that permanent healing in the skies. But Friday switching over to the Brig is also pretty good. Actually, Flora's going to go over to the Kree. They're changing wholesale swap-ups. They know the comp, and this is the advantage of being on the offense too. They know the comp the Spark are running, so they can make adjustments almost instantly.
Something that they unfortunately can't do, except for just controlling this high ground, which is exactly what they want. They want to make sure Guangzhou could rotate safely, control this upcoming corner with the shield. There's a lot of that poke damage that you made mention of, building into some of these ults. Currently have a Shy narrowing down that Bob very shortly.
Yeah, you can hear the galloping there of Guangzhou trying to go high ground. They didn't know where they were going to go. So actually a little bit of space has been offered here. Oh, what a kill onto Jonak though. Window's going to open up. Is it going to be enough?
It's on the payload too, and now the Bob's there from Shy. He's uncontested in the back and cleaning things up around Flora too. And Yakpong, they just unfortunately were in shambles the moment that Jonak had gone down. Good tracking from Shy, but that's what happens when you leave yourself open in the line of sight of an Ashe.
It very much looked like the NYXL there wanted to bait the Spark into going high ground, but the Spark were a little bit wiser than that. They tried to go under, the Spark rotated the stairs, and as soon as one person from the NYXL peeked their head out lower, they instantly rotated back down, so they didn't get too much free space here. Bernard is looking for somebody, he knows someone's around. Yeah, okay, he did see him in the end. Feather should be fine. He does get a repair pack thrown at him or a cookie, and he is healed on up. So now they're going to take this high ground control. They do have Flora as well to use that Deadeye to open up a lot of this space. Shy doesn't have Bob to kind of deny a lot of that as well. So Feather even just TPing into the front line. That's not where you want to be.
Was that a bait maybe turn to make them think that potentially Death Blossom's there, or they're just gonna back off? They want no business with this. Maybe just trying to reset, but the Spark, I love the way that they're disengaging here. Great on time. Shy has Bob after landing so many of those shots. You see Architect trying to contest him. He gets away on time, luckily, with that Wraith, and that's what you have to deal with that stun from Flora on the McCree. Currently, you have Shy now activating the Bob, and on the payload to contest, you see the NYXL disengaging, going for a different rotation to actually engage right behind the Spark. Bernard taking so much damage, and Architect goes down first. That's not what you want here, especially since the Death Blossom would have been online for the fight. The rally to start the engagement, and the supercharger with Guangzhou gets annihilated. The immediate meltdown from Yakpong.
They're gonna do it, Vicky.
Now, the NYXL, this is happening now, Jaws. The Spark can't do anything. They need to touch this point. They need to stop this payload.
They're not going to be able to do it. MCD's going to go down. They're going to contest for a couple of seconds, but that's going to be it.
The NYXL, they make it into the June Joust. The Spark, they're out. Despite their flawless record, this is what mattered. And in the end, it's the NYXL dethroning the Spark.
Absolutely unbelievable. The 4th seed knocks out the 1st seed. Spark go down 3-1 as well. They only managed to take Oasis. They came out the gates running, steamrolling towards the NYXL, but the NYXL were able to springboard back, push that aggression back at the Spark, and just destroy them. What a heartbreak for the Spark too. At their very own homestand, the NYXL knocked them out of the June Joust.
I'm shaking right now, Jaws. I am actually like, where's the script? I got the wrong script here. We came into the series on paper, looking at the Spark. All right, homestand advantage. They've been doing great this month. NYXL, they finally got their footing this month, but this is not what I was expecting as the final results as to who from the Eastern region is moving on to the June Joust tournament.
Yeah, what an unbelievable showing. I think the NYXL are something to be feared at this point. you had such a big run-up if you were the Spark, defeating the Dragons 3-0. They looked unstoppable, only lost 2 maps coming into this elimination day. And the NYXL weren't looking, well, they were looking okay, right? They weren't looking out of this world. But my word, did they make a statement today, Vicky?
Absolutely, and our player of the match presented by Xfinity is going to be Flora. To no surprise, though, considering the fact that Flora was popping off. We were talking about Architect too, but Flora was just as consistent, making these fights close range, making sure that this absolutely stings. I love the follow-up too that we had whenever Friday was there to help heal for Florida. Despite those big antis too that we saw from MCD here, Jaws, it just was Flora able to just regroup, being able to wraith away, drop that ante, and then re-engage when it really was necessary.
Yeah, Flora definitely deserved the MVP here, the player of the match.
And the Ashe picks too.
The Ashe picks were insane as well. His Reaper play, his Kree play, just everything. Flora is a rookie coming into this season. Recently just turned 18 as well, a couple of months ago, I believe. And yeah, it's been great to watch him flourish, honestly. And Jonak, I mentioned, has been the veteran, the leader for this team as well. It's no longer about him. It's not the Jonak show. It is the Flora and Feather show. And you can see how much support this guy is getting.
Yeah, I really like what the NYXL is adapting to. This is some team development, if I say so myself, Jaws. What a series it's been, and it's only the first series of the day for these knockout series. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna throw it out to a quick break. We kind of catch our breaths here because wow, I'm still shaking after that series. When we come back, though, we're gonna have some bold predictions. We'll see you on the other side.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. Our first series for the day is in the books. The NYXL, they take it over the Spark, and the Spark are sent back home. They're in their homestand right now, Jaws, so at least they have the fans there to help cheer them up. The NYXL, though, they're booming. And now that we're back with some bold predictions presented by Pringles, I'm honestly still kind of wondering, what am I going to say here, Jaws? My bold prediction, honestly, I want to focus on the NYXL. And now that they've qualified into the June Joust, I think that they're going to win their first series, and I think we could potentially see the NYXL with a comeback in the winners finals. I think that they're going to do really good in the winners finals, but I don't think that they're going to find themselves in the grand finals, if you get what I mean.
Go on, because it's bold prediction. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say
Go,
it.
I want to hear your bold predictions. Let's see it.
They're just going to win it. Guangzhou's going to come
What?
in.
Oh,
Just start,
wow, okay.
Just
Whoa.
start clicking heads on the Widowmaker.
Whoa, okay, that was pretty bold.
Going to hit 6-man Death Blossoms every single fight, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy clap, then myself, just take the dub.
I mean, after that series, they're definitely, I mean, we saw them popping off. They jumped out of their seat. Like, that was so wholesome. And good on them, too, because we really saw them grow throughout the June Joust. And at the very end, they've made it through the tournament. They're now sitting in the bracket. They got to wait for the next series to finish to find out who's going to be meeting with them in the bracket from the Eastern region. That's going to be the Seoul Dynasty versus the Shanghai Dragons, and that's going to be taken by Achilles and Avril. So, Jaws, we're done for today, and what a way to end the note, too.
Yeah, what a way to end this portion of the day. My word, a big upset. First seed taken down by the fourth at NYXL on the come up again, Vicky.
Yeah, and with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. But don't go anywhere. There's going to be some more Overwatch League action coming to you soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Achilles, jumping on for the last series of the night to figure out which other team is going to be representing the APAC region in the June Joust. I'm Achilles, joined as always by Avril, and let's just go to the air real quick. What just happened? Hello? Anything? Because I can't really wrap my brain around it.
Dude, I'm shaking. I'm shaking up. That was wild. I feel bad for the Hangzhou fans live there. You hate to see it. You go 4-0 in your regular season. Yeah. 2 of those wins came from your homestand, and then somehow at the final hurdle, you lose to the team that shouldn't even be here. NYXL, they're not even meant to be here, and they get through, and they somehow 3-1 Hangzhou to make it into the actual June Joust tournament. Unbelievable performance. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the 4-0 team beaten by the 4th seed. Something about math, the 4s cross-cancel. I don't know what's going on. It's this weird asinine run that we have from NYXL. You know, pulling off their, a reversal of what they normally do. Normally, they're going to choke in the playoffs. Instead, they kind of choke throughout the season, and they get into the playoffs. And now they're going,
opposite
I
day.
say going to Hawaii in quotations. They're playing against the North American squads. So it's a really weird, inverted reality that we're in at the moment. But I'm all right with it because it's damn exciting to see. So a huge congratulations to the NYXL. But we still have one more team to decide, and that is a huge matchup here, Avril. You and I were able to cast this matchup not very long ago, but it's going to be the Seoul Dynasty going up against the Shanghai Dragons yet again.
Yeah, we're going to have what I deem to be the kind of Eastern Division APAC El Clasico here. This is my favorite rivalry in the entire division. There's no sort of I want to say kind of forced rivalry here. It's not like they're sharing a territory or anything like that. These are just two teams that have had really close games, really solid matchups in the past. I mean, everyone remembers what happened in 2020 playoffs. They just played each other pretty recently. I mean, we've got to highlight two players here as well. Lip and Fitz, I think two of the best hit scan players up and coming. I say up and coming, really. Yeah. You should know them by now. Fitz had a real big turn up this particular season, especially in June Joust. Lip's been good all year. Lip, strangely enough, ever since he's come off of the Sombra and he's gone more towards the McCree, like we can see the stats here, and onto the Ashes and onto the what you'd expect to be proper hits, and then also, by the way, the Tracer he showed in the Melee. He's been phenomenal. This guy's right at the top of my list in terms of hit scans in the Overwatch League right now, and Fitz is doing a damn good job of catching up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we were just kind of, splurging on about this just, over the last 2 days, I suppose, with Fitz and how consistent he has been as of late, how well he is meshing alongside Prophet. Obviously, Lip and Fleta just as good, very close to it as far as the DPS duo is concerned. So this is going to be really the key matchup to keep our eyes on and see who is going to be able to come out on top in those hit scan duels, because both, they really have their work cut out for them. Like, I would weigh probably the Dynasty's DPS duo higher if you just look at those two, but if it's Fitz versus Lip individually, it becomes way murkier. It's really hard to tell which one is going to have the upper hand in that matchup there.
I mean, this is like, pretty star-studded rosters across the board here. You've got two MVPs, one at each team, Prophet versus Fletty here. You've got Overwatch League winners in Gesture and Prophet coming over. Lip's been phenomenal this year. I think if Lip keeps playing in his current form, he's got to be in talks for Roll-Star, MVP, all of that kind of stuff. Looking all-star quality no matter what. So just great things all around. I mean, Easyaki's had a fantastic, year so far as well. The entire team's been pretty solid. Void is always going to be Void. It does seem like that Seoul, since losing to Shanghai pretty recently, and as a reminder, the last game that Shanghai played in June Joust was actually versus Seoul, where they kind of crushed them. They kind of destroyed Seoul because Seoul were figuring out the meta. They were trying to figure out June Joust. They were playing this kind of gesture hog thing with Marvel coming to play the Sigma, and it wasn't working. I'm not going to lie, it would look pretty bad. And Dynasty, they agree, because we see them at the Hangzhou Spark homestand, and instantly they change things up. Marvel's back on the bench, 2U's coming in to play D.Va, and also the Sigma, by the way. And we saw Seoul this weekend, and Seoul yesterday specifically, when they brought 2U back out, and he was on that Sigma, and now you no longer have Marvel playing the Sigma, and 2U's the guy that's just like, I'm the flex tank, I'm going to cover all the flex tank roles. He completely demolished. He was so good. That accretion onto Eileen's Nanoblade, beautiful stuff. And Seoul Dynasty, when they want to, they are finally getting it together. Deep into, a tournament run, deep into a playoff kind of area now. They're suddenly clicking, and that's when Seoul are the most dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been just looking absolutely terrifying as of late. Gesture really, reining it in, making sure that he's not overextending, not getting farmed. So it's been an overall good look for the Seoul Dynasty as of late. They still have a very tough opponent. I mean, Shanghai Dragons, they're another one of those teams that you really can't count out, especially when it comes down to playoffs. They do excel in that pressure. So this is going to be, hopefully, I should say, a very tight matchup, because so far today, things have not gone as anticipated. So hopefully that is not going to be the case here. Hopefully this is going to be another extremely close series. I, for one, am always down with the 5 maps played, if not more. Who knows? We could always have some draws. Make it happen.
You're definitely within reason here, because when these two teams face off, and by the way, the record stands at 8-7, 8 in the Shanghai Dragons court, because they just won their last outing versus Seoul, but Seoul have 7. So it's like 15 times these teams have played over the years, which is a crazy amount, by the way. Of that, now we're starting to see, Dragons have had some sweeps in there, but when Seoul win, they typically will take the series a bit longer. But even when Dragons won, I think the last game they played was still 3-1, even though Seoul were not quite on board, I would say, with where the meta was in terms of their read and all that kind of stuff. So I would expect a close series. I mean, two of the best teams in the APAC region, especially Seoul, when they really start to get it together, really start to make it work, and that's right now. And every single Shanghai fan remembers last year during playoffs what happened when you met a playoffs ready Profit and also Seoul Dynasty, and it was bad news. So here it is right now. Seoul Dynasty starting 6 to use on. I mean, we already saw the player cams earlier, so everyone's pretty familiar.
Yeah.
It's the Profits duo versus Flitter and Lip, and a bunch of great players across both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at, they're climbing the standings here as of late, I would say, for the side of Fitz and Profit. We'll have to see how things are going to update with IBM Watson at the end of the weekend and on Monday. But, yeah, Lee Jae-gon. Guys putting up huge numbers. You can see Fleta there as well. I mean, everybody on the side of the Dragons highly rated. Every single time we check in on those power rankings, it's a mix of the Fuel, it's a mix of the Dragons. So this is unsurprising. But we know that the Dynasty are capable of playing at this level, so numbers aren't everything. Rankings don't always necessarily matter, which is why, you look at Platchet, you look at Avast when they do their power rankings.
Yeah, sure.
You can disregard them for the most part.
I gotta add one thing, though. It says Lip is 5 out of 38 for DPS. He's actually number 1 right now. He's actually number 1 out of all the DPS updated on the IBM Watson Power Rankings, and 3rd overall for all players. If you're curious as to who the top 5 are, it goes Fearless, Fate, Lip, Fielder, then Void. So you got 3 Dragons members on the overall ranking. Let's be fair, it's like mostly Dallas Fuel and mostly Shanghai Dragons, because those are the 2 teams that went the deepest in May Melee. They went to the grand finals, and Watson, it really does enjoy it when you win. So you're gonna have a lot of those players really high up. But Lip's now taken number 1 for DPS and number 3 overall for all players, where strangely you have 2 main tanks are actually above them, both main tanks of Dallas and also Shanghai Dragons. So all those fake doubters out there, I got to tell you, IBM Watson is back in Fate 100% here. So we'll have to see how that matchup goes as well, because we're seeing a lot of Orisa gameplay coming on through, and previously I would have expected. I was looking at this meta thinking it's quite a Winston-heavy meta. I was looking at a lot of Winston stats, looking at how things are going in that regard. And then if you just watch the NY Excel versus Hangzhou game, things move towards Orisa very, very quickly. And when I look across some of the previous matches we've had over the June Joust, especially this homestand weekend, a lot of teams have been moving towards double bubble. Namely, I think Seoul were a team very keen on that one, because even before they had 2 come into play Sigma, they were already trying to play some double shield. Gesture obviously on the Hog, but Marvel, they were really thinking Sigma is one of the plays here. We got to try and add Sigma to the team. So both teams, I expect that it's going to be some variation of Orisa Diva, maybe Orisa Sigma, maybe a bit of dive still in there, but Orisa's going to be big hero today.
Yeah, for sure. And we were talking, at length yesterday about that and how that is very, very good for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. We'll have to see how, Fate's going to take to this, because, the last time that we did see them, it wasn't that centric on the Orisa, so will be a little bit of a change up there. But sure, he's going to be able to just hold down left click, place barriers, and, halt some people together. So it shouldn't be too bad. I'm just curious, to see more of Tuyu on the Sigma, because he was phenomenal. Think about, that amazing Nanoblade shutdown that we saw on Nimbani, just getting that accretion and immediately just blowing up targets. Everybody has, kind of thought of Marvel as the guy who's going to be playing the Sigma if you want to run it. He showed it. It was a little bit shaky at the start, had to kind of shake the rust off, I suppose. And then from there, he just got in the top gear and just started shredding people left, right, and center. So it was a really good showing. So I'm hoping to see some more Sigma from him.
Yeah, I think Seoul have, it's very evident that Seoul have definitely found their market. They've found their stride deep into a meta here. It's kind of like, if you watch the NA games today, it's kind of like Washington Justice kind of late into the season. They've also kind of found their stride. The difference is Seoul didn't manage to still get enough wins to make it deep in to get to the knockout stage of the Eastern Division here, so they get to kind of bear the fruit of finding their mark and finding their stride and being able to really prove their worth in a meta, especially an opportunity to get revenge on the Dragons, where, again, they lost the Dragons in a very recent matchup just before this weekend. So it's an opportunity for these 2 teams in the APEC El Clasico to get it out there, and always enjoy when Dragons and Seoul play up in a matchup. It's always mega impactful when you see this DPS line of all these 4 players go up against each other, stack lineups across the board. Shanghai fans out here in full force. Now that Hangzhou Spark have been eliminated, I wouldn't be surprised if all the fans in the audience, they'll be headed back Shanghai now.
Yeah, I mean, take the pink jerseys off, put the red ones on. Just swap them up, be ready to show your support. So yeah, I mean, they still do have a Chinese organization
Titans
that they can cheer for at this event. There is a cheeky Titans fan chilling in the audience. That's a rare breed. He's showing up.
Like
I mean,
I don't
think you're going to be getting any.
They're like, oh, there's an NA fan.
I don't think they have breadsticks really over there. I don't think it's very common, so he's not going to be able to collect his breadsticks too much. But yeah, there's probably they probably have Pizza Hut.
I think they got Pizza Hut. They got KFC. They must have Pizza Hut. But yeah, I don't know about the breadsticks yet. Well, to be fair, the NA fans haven't won their breadsticks yet either. So still waiting for that Boop or that Map 5 on the way.
Very different franchises to just be like, well, if there's a KFC, then clearly this must be there. One cannot exist without the other.
Yeah, pizza and chicken. What's the problem? No, it's because like those. I'm not going to get into the full story, but those two franchises are like kind of linked in my part of the world. They're like linked to one parent thing. It's complicated. It's not really. I just don't want to talk about it too much. But yeah, that's why I thought of it. Then I remembered. You know what? Maybe the rest of the world doesn't work like that. So there
maybe
is.
It's slightly different.
I've been reminded of how worldly everything is. So there, that we found out, and it's so worldly that we have Titans fans live in the Hangzhou homestand, which shouldn't be a huge surprise. I expect a lot of Overwatch fans from various teams should be there, but it was it's a moment. And actually, one other thing as well, I remember seeing when we saw some crowd shots during the last match as well. We had someone wearing the Season 1, Season 2 Shanghai jersey. I'm like, that's the real fan. That's the diehard Shanghai fan right there. Because they know pain. They went through the Season 1 and Season 2 pain, especially that Season 1 pain of the 040 and 042 subsequently as well. So, now they get to experience Shanghai winning, or we'll see in a few short moments if that continues or not, because we've had one major upset today already. I think it's fair to say that NYXL getting the win was definitely an upset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no other way to cut it. It was just a crazy David and Goliath victory there for the side of the NYXL. They found the sling and they nailed the shot and they just took him down. So it was really crazy to see. I mean, you and I were obviously, watching the game, talking to each other throughout it, and we were just kind of losing our minds watching the series unfold and seeing, the Spark getting full health there at that point on Dorado right at the end. It's like, oh my God, they're actually going to do it. NYXL finally have found a bit of their groove, and Hangzhou as well didn't look great. You have to expect or kind of interpret that it may have very well been the pressure of performing in front of a live audience with this incredibly important series, to be able to go into your first tournament. There's only a few throughout the year, so missing out on now 2 is really damning when it comes down to your end of season standings. You want to go as far as you possibly can, be as dominant as you can. So while the score that they got throughout June up into this event is going to be good, having that 4-0, that is going to be good for them in the long run. It's still not going to be great to not be able to compete against the North American squads.
Especially when this was meant to be the run. This is the 4-0 run. You're the only undefeated team in all of APAC. Everyone's been saying you're the best team in APAC for a while. Everyone's pretty much agreed on that, and also have agreed upon the fact that NYXL have been looking shaky. They've been there, but also they've been missing out. They've been kind of, not quite. But two teams that definitely haven't, as you start to see the clappers going through. Yep, you know what it means. It means Shanghai taking the stage. They are live in the venue, live at the Hangzhou Spark homestand. Yep, there it is. That's the roster. Shanghai Dragons, the most, historically in the past couple of years, the past year and a half, historically most dominant team in the APAC region for a while, being only bested by the Seoul Dynasty last year, late into the season as we head into the grand finals.
We'll see what they can get done. I mean, none of these players are, they're all very well used to playing in front of live audiences. So this is not going to be a new experience at all. Should not have to worry about any kind of stage jitters. Yes, they are going to be the last hope for, China, for Chinese-owned organizations to try to make it into the June Joust. But I think that they're going to be able to shake that off. Everybody here on this roster has been competing for a very long time. Yeah, they are all veterans. They are all very well seasoned. So I don't expect that the pressure is going to get to them too much. Yeah. Oh, everybody on this lineup. Moon knows how to pick them. He's like, oh, yeah, you played for this long? Okay, you're going to be good. Let me grab you. So,
Moon is like...
it starts set it across the board. You don't have to worry about these guys choking on stage.
Yeah, I describe Moon as he's like the Christopher Nolan of Overwatch League coaches. He only works with people he's worked before with. He has this kind of ensemble cast that of all the kind of actors he's already hired before and cast in previous movies. So that's kind of how this works for the Shanghai Dragons. They take the Chris Nolan approach, and epic games, epic movies, what I'm talking about right now. As he's got his cast. Just gotta figure out which one of these guys is the Leo DiCaprio of the team.
I mean, hey, and it is in keeping because every now and then you have several hits, and then sometimes you have a miss. I mean, Shanghai Dragons, they have they have flopped. They weren't able to make it into the grand final last year, so that's kind of like the Dark Knight Rises of their performances, I suppose. Where it was like okay, it was You didn't like regret watching it, but it also could have been way better. It wasn't the Dark Knight. It's not what you were expecting when you went into the theater. So it does happen. But that's a pretty decent analogy, I suppose. We'll see what happens here. We'll see which Christopher Nolan film we get from this Shanghai performance. Maybe it's a Tenet, and just this series is going to be wild, and we won't understand it very well.
Dynasty on the other side is like it's a wild mixture of like super veterans from Season 1, including Overwatch League champions, and then rookies as well, and just kind of everything across the board. So they've definitely got a few things going on for them. Funny bit of thing here as well is that I don't think Moon was part of this team, but Marvel was part of the old Lucky Future Zenith roster that also included DM and Erster, who have recently left the Shanghai Dragons, so there's a bit of cross-pollination there in terms of who's gone where and who's played with who. So we're not going to be seeing Marvel or DM or Erster, I guess. Would have been nice to have DM and Erster maybe at the homestand. I'm not too sure if they are there or not. I assume probably not, but I'm sure the rest of the players are there, including Molly, who is a Chinese player who would love to be, meeting up with the fans, and I'm sure they have plenty of time to do that before and afterwards. But right now, about to head into map number 1, Lijiang Tower of the Eastern Division knockouts. Here, Seoul versus Shanghai Dragons. The winner goes on through to the June Joust tournament. The loser will be eliminated. We'll have to wait until next stage.
Yeah, that is a long wait. You don't want to have to just be sitting there at home, just practicing, but not for a series that's up and coming. Teleporters out. Straight out the gate, we're going to have Fleta over on the Soldiers 76. So double hit scan here for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. We'll see Fitz sticking with the Symmetra. So it wasn't just going for the TP boost. He wants to try to burn them down. It's going to be good because you can get that left click charge, get that damage amped up off of the Orisa barrier. Let's see how they... Oh, there it goes.
No way.
Okay, well, it's a tragedy.
That's like the main DP is gone.
Yep, instantly it's just eliminated, and this could just very well be a calling now, and that's exactly what it's looking like. The barriers are not going to be able to survive. Provident, the ice block there on the point, yep, just will get picked off. It is a team kill effectively, and Fitz just says, okay, yeah, I'll just go for the McCree.
Absolutely. I mean, at this stage, you don't want to be retaking with the Symmetra, especially not in this situation where Shanghai Dragons know it as well. They're going to get aggressive, try and get some, a good tickle damage in there, some good, with Fleta on the Soldier specifically, where previously I think Seoul have also played a decent amount of Soldier. We did see that. That's going to open up for the Prophet, and already an opening frag that makes things so much more difficult for Seoul. And they're just locked up. They can't move anywhere.
Yeah, they try to hold them back in. Immortality Field now going to be used. Void pressing forward, manages to clean up too, and they are right outside the dropship. Fitz with no chance to escape will get picked off. And I was about to bring this up right as Prophet did get picked off, and it's looking like maybe it's going to happen again. Let's go into the ice block to stay safe, but there's not a lot of shield pressure here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Granted, you have Gesture there. He can just continue to hold down that left click. You've got Fitz, but the May is not going to be doing a whole lot when it comes down to breaking through this double barrier.
No, they need to either do this, rotate around the map, and go towards the point. That's a nice hold that stops them up. Or,
oh my God, he plays on the back of the Hulk. This time he finds 2. Gesture apparently just not able to go cold in there. Gets knocked off the side. This is catastrophic for the Seoul Dynasty, but everything is going wonderfully for Shanghai. The coordination between Fate and Lee Jae-gon is just on another level right now.
This is getting ridiculous. I was going to say you either didn't want to rotate with the walls or trying to engage by isolating a player off, likely Fate here, but nothing's working out for them. They're getting booped off, they're getting spawn capped, and here we go. Maybe they can get Fate.
The flux. That
Maybe
is so
not.
meaty. That's such a huge flux. They have the tac visor rolling as well, so Fitz gets sniped out of the sky. It is another team kill. 90% about to be on the board for Shanghai Dragons, and this is not even close. We're going to see a replay. I don't really want to see this right now, but it's okay. It's a huge boop. Take me back to the game real quick so I can see what's going on, because it was at 90%. There we go, 97. Jester's on the side of the map. Fleta taking him out, gets the finish. The sound barrier looking like it was a solo use onto Anamo, as 2U was only able to find 1. Sound barrier now out. Blizzard coming through to help try to survive. Prophet does have the immortality field, but it does not last very long at all. Jester re-arrives, rolls back through to you, knocked up into the air, finished off. It's going to be gone, Prophet dead. No DPS available here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, and it is just an absolute slaughter at the hands of the Shanghai Dragons. 100% to 0 to kick off this map.
Absolute shellacking, that's how you got to describe that one. Shanghai let nothing through their fingers. Seoul Dynasty couldn't even, I was going to say couldn't even really touch the point. They got to the point with symmetric TPs and some good rotations using their May, but every fight just went the way of Shanghai Dragons, and it wasn't close. Multiple team kills, as you said. Boops to get the thing started. I mean, look, if we're talking about bridge sticks here, Lee Jae-gon just gave everyone bridge sticks. If this was the Titans, it's Shanghai Dragons, and well, I mean, it'd be too easy. You'd have to make some really hard goals to achieve if it was we're talking about giving out rewards for Shanghai Dragons getting boop kills, because that was just completely open things up and close the door on the Seoul Dynasty. And then on top of that, avoiding a huge flux. Finally, Seoul in that last fight get their ultimates on board, and can't save Jisha with the sound barrier. Ultimates aren't making a huge impact. Prophet is still on the May here. I'm starting to believe this May is going to be more of a detriment to the team than a help.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much damage being pushed up from the side of the Shanghai Dragons, and Prophet, he needs to get in on top of people, and he just has not been able to have that happen yet. Lip will find one. The freeze does come down on the Lip for a moment as Lee Jae-gon finds another boom. He sends Fitz off the side of the map. Lee Jae-gon is absolutely popping off, and this is terrifying. There's another one.
God.
Somebody has to control this guy. You need to have some double hit scan to control Lee Jae-gon. You're never going to catch him with a May. You cannot freeze this guy, and you need to take him out of the fight. If he continues to do stuff like this, there is no hope for the Dynasty. Of course he's going to go for another one. He's Lee Jae-gon. He doesn't give it out.
I got to be honest with you. We talked about that one Titans fan in the audience. They're wishing right now, it's like, dude, we just need our team to do the same thing.
Oh my God, this could be...
He's going to go for it.
Oh.
That would be really good. Yep.
Yep.
Holy.
Okay, congratulations. You have finally killed Lee Jae-gon, but he takes out two. Creative and 2 you are out of the fight. Fitz will find Izayaki, so now there's no Baptiste for either side. It is going to be a 4v4, at least for the moment, but you can see they just cannot push forward right now. They're trying to advance steadily, but Fleta, he's nearly got this ult online. Helix rockets go through. Lip just look at the zone people back, keep them on the opposite side and try to alleviate some pressure here for Void. Has to roll out of the Blizzard, however, but now here comes the Tac Visor. Prophet instantly going to be gone. Gesture dead as well, so there's one less barrier to stand behind. Fleta just kiting out around the side, gets in behind that Amp Matrix, now presses forward, looks for the finish, and they will have it. This is not even close.
Void agrees, he nods. I mean, they just walk into the Amp Matrix, they don't even care. Grim drops the window down. They smash through that window. They burgle the Seoul Dynasty. And the Blizzard came on. It was decent. It covers a lot of players. It even gets Void, but they don't kill Void. And Void gets out with an immortality field.
Sorry, not to... I'm molding because he is still on the May. He's still on this.
At least they don't
use the Blizzard. Oh, good. the one thing that's gone well. They've made it into the room. Now they have to make it up here on the point. The Hulk pulls them all to the side. He gets 2 more! Are you kidding me?
How
are
many?
they letting this happen? There's another one. There's another one. Legion, give him the MVP. End it. End the series. It's over. He's the player of the match.
I have the number. I have the number for you. It's 10. He's got 10 environmental kills over this map so far. Look, I'm going to be honest. If this is the same sponsorship that Titans have,
that has to be the most.
Pizza would be shaking their heads right now. It's like, we don't have enough breadsticks in the country. You've completely cleaned our stocks out. This is too many. We wanted one environmental kill. 10 is like, we're going to have to call in the United States to back us up with some more breadsticks. We don't have enough flour for this.
Lee Jae-gon would bankrupt Pizza Hut at this point. But, I mean, I can't believe it. This is unreal. And then Dynasty sticking with the May the whole time. Is this just going to be the gesture syndrome with Roadhog, but Prophet on May? Like, obviously, I don't expect them to run it as we go into other map types, but come on. You use the Blizzard, you got no value. Swap to something. Try to have some additional control, because you're not getting on top of people, so at least try to pick them off at long, medium to long range. Do something different.
Yeah, it just looked like to me the whole game plan was to try and find engagements with the May in this mirror, whereas Shanghai Dragons' entire game plan was play distance, have a double hit scan, have way more anti-shield pressure, which is what Flare on the Soldier's going to give you. And unless Prophet can pop off and just get people, locked up with ice walls, you're not going to win. Even the Blizzard wasn't working, so I agree with you. That this May was not good for the team at all, and it showed. And then on top of that, Lee Jae-gon gets 10 kills, so 10 boops, he'll take that.
just watched the replay of his last 3 boops. He almost had 3 on the initial, but Jester didn't get knocked off the side, and then he ended up getting him anyway. But good God, what a start to the series here. I mean, Temple of Anubis is going to be the second map, so that's a direct nerf to Shanghai Dragons because there's nowhere for Lee Jae-gon to boot people off the side of the map. So that's a good thing going for the Seoul Dynasty at the moment. But aside from that, I mean, it just wasn't even close. What a way to kick off this series. Shanghai Dragons looking like they are here to win. We'll see if the Dynasty can try to level out their play, bounce back, and put a win on the board when we return from the break. So do not go anywhere. Map 2 coming at you in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, welcome back. I've had a little bit of a chance to take a deep breath, to relax, to calm myself down. Now we're ready to go into map number 2. I mean, Shanghai Dragons, Avril, just, good lord, utter destruction of the Seoul Dynasty there on Lijiang.
My fun stat at Lijiang Tower. We already know about the 10 boop kills. I'm not going back to that one. My fun stat is actually that Lip had 0 deaths. He was the only player that didn't die a single time. He had 0 deaths the entire Lijiang map. 25 elims, 13 final blows, 0 deaths. Take a look at some of these boops again. I mean, they were just opportunistic. I mean, yeah, some were completely set up by Fate. So credit to Fate, by the way, who kind of opens them up. But there's other ones like, look at that. I mean, that's beautiful. Just finds an opportunity, gets fit. This is
gorgeous.
I mean, if the God's watching this VOD right now, he's like, all right, this is pretty hot. I'm thinking this, you know. They understand what's going on. This play was beautiful as well, because I thought it wasn't going to happen. I see, like, Seoul, they've already rotated into White Room. There's no way, like, Lee Jae-gon's missed his timing, but then that Hulk comes on through and delivers another couple of beautiful environmentals. And every time these happen, you're instantly at a 6v5, 6v4, even better. That was a triple there. How about a 6v3? I mean, camera goes straight into Lee Jae-gon. He knows he's done well. Iziaki's there as well. Like, that's my boy. You know how it is.
He's getting a little bashful with the camera there, but gives the peace sign, says, you know what, we're ready to go. But I mean, yeah, there's got to be something different done here from the side of this Seoul Dynasty. Granted, you know, it's going to be a completely different approach to the map. Granted, given that we are going to be moving over into Assault off of you know, the King of the Hill style. So, you know, I'm expecting this to not be nearly as one-sided. But we'll have to just wait and see. Because right now, it seems like Dynasty are fired up. Seems like they're going to be really just being, you know, getting fueled by that audience that is very much cheering for them right now as the last hope for China. So Dynasty definitely need to do something different. Oh, yeah. I mean, they were kind of always maybe going to be the best hope. Just, you know, even despite the 4-0 record for the Hangzhou Spark, you just can't really top the consistency that we've seen from the Shanghai Dragons over the last 2 years. But we'll see what the Dynasty do have prepared as we get ready to jump onto Temple of Anubis. I'm expecting to see a lot more Orisa, but eyes do have to be out on Prophet and see what he's going to be rolling here, whether it's going to be the Echo or if they're going to shift over to something maybe a little bit different as well.
Yeah, I think this is a good Echo map. I think this is where Prophet versus Flair Echo battle should take place. McCree's or Ashes for Fitz and Lip, that's going to be a great duel as well. Look, Seoul Dynasty, you made a big mistake on Lijiang Tower. Accept it, move on, it's fine. There's room to shore up on it. There's room to fix that, and Anubis is going to be where that takes place. So Seoul have been here before. They've been down versus the Shanghai Dragons. They defeated Shanghai Dragons. Again, record is 7-8. It's pretty much neck and neck. Shanghai Dragons only lead by 1 match win here. Seoul Dynasty absolutely know how to beat the Shanghai Dragons. They've done it 7 times. So can they do it again? Prophet coming through towards the Echo as expected. Fits over towards the Ash. That's defensive lineup locked and loaded. Double shield once again did kind of tease that we were going to see plenty of double shield today. At minimum, a lot of Orisa, but now to you also on this Sigma as he was on the previous map as Shanghai Dragons. I'm expecting that this should be fairly similar. Echo Ash would be the name of the game, and Lip will go for an opening hook shot, then probably change to Ash.
All right, let's see if he can nail anybody here. Taking his time, waiting, holding on to the grapple. Spotted Prophet for just a moment.
Maybe he's staying.
Now they're going to be safe and behind the barriers, though. Yeah,
I'll be honest.
He hasn't gone back yet.
It'll be tough for him to crack through the barriers, but now that now this couple of shields are down, he's looking for angles. I mean, Tuyu's caught in the open. That's Tuyu on the floor, so if nothing else, you might not have killed Tuyu, but he's completely out of position. That's still a good win for the Shanghai Dragons in a small micro way.
Yeah. Gains them a lot of ground. See Fitz not taking damage necessarily there from the Lip, but still getting tagged up. As these shots continue to go straight into the side of Tuyu, chunking him out as best as possible. Lip gonna have to get the heck out of there. Dashes over to the side. We'll grab the Mega Pack and be okay. But Fleta, he comes in on top while Fitz is distracted. Gets in. Manages to find that kill. Accretion stunt on to Prophet, but not gonna lead to the kill yet.
Jeez,
However, now gonna get picked off. Yeah, Fleta coming up huge. 1v1. They actually finish each other off. Oh, that's just poetic. As Lip tries to escape, will manage to pull away from that hold in time, and almost going in, trying to get this kill, but Lip just manages to hold down the unscoped left click, finishes him off, and this is such a fast cap now for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. We're looking to speed run this series. Still sticking through with the Widowmaker, at least for now, as he almost does have that Infrasight up. We'll see if they can snowball this forward.
Now, Widowmaker typically doesn't have good snowball pressure for Cat B. If you want an Ash right now, a Bolt would be brilliant, but just not going to be the case. Infrasight to kind of give them the angles, and Izayaki to take advantage of that. Not even with the Infrasight just yet. A lot of damage coming on through on the front lines.
Oh, no.
Gestures down, and Tuyu's already chunked out. Look, Animo dies without Valk.
Gesture has fallen. Prophet does get the Flux online here with the duplicate. Fleta rather pushes up in front of him, but look at this. They are just ripping them limb from limb. There is nothing that they can do. Everybody's dead at the moment. Tuyu still stunned as he tries to get back over towards the point, but they're just not allowing it to happen. The fly-through comes in from Anamo, but Lip is there, gets the shot, and that is 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining on Temple of Anubis as the cap comes in. Shanghai Dragons are unrelenting.
Faces on the Seoul Dynasty players right now. This is a tough position. You could see it. And one of the only kills that Dynasty actually got was when Prophet and Fleta traded each other. 2 MVPs got the kills. You want another fun stat?
Sure.
I talked about Lip having 0 deaths on Lijiang Tower. He still got 0 deaths. In fact, all the Shanghai Dragons have 0 deaths. You want to know the only player that died? Yeah, it's Fleta getting traded by Prophet. So I wasn't lying when I said that was the only kill that Seoul Dynasty got. It literally was the only kill they got. There's 0 deaths on Shanghai outside of Fleta and Prophet trading.
The other thing is, like, it's 13-1. That means that they just went in, they killed everybody once, they killed him again at B, and that was good enough to get the
And
cap.
1 extra.
Yeah, it was that.
One
That's
poor
it.
bugger died 3 times.
Unbelievable.
It was that. That was Gesture. No, actually, Animo
Oh.
and Gesture died 3 times, and 2 died once. So yeah, 2 gave one of his deaths away and said, "Yeah, Animo, Gesture, you guys take one more." As it's rough, man. We some of these guys, I don't think some of them got ultimates. Did Fitz get a single bob? I don't think Fitz got a bob there. I don't think it happened. It ended too quickly. It ended so quickly. I mean, 452 is 208. 208 for the entire attack. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to bring up Matt Mercer again because a 208's got to be pretty damn. I'll check it in the break. We don't have to call him up, but I'll check it in the break when we get over and finish this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a fast, such a dominant attack there. I do like the adjustment of the Hangzhou coming in for Fitz, just to try to be able to break through these barriers, maybe even just get that stray headshot coming through. Try to take somebody out of the fight quickly. Let's see if he's going to be able to find some value here. As Lip playing, a bit of a rarer angle, I suppose, when it comes down to the Ashes playing out over this side, over by the stairway. Void does get demeched. That's a decent, solid poke start here for the side of Seoul, and then they managed to follow up on the Lee Jae-gon. So now with the Baby Diva dead, they can't even try to get that res in. Fate trying to pull back around the corner, but Fitz is hounding him down. Manages to find the kill, and this is looking like a very fast attack as well for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. And the question again just becomes, can they snowball it?
This is absolutely what they need. I mean, Seoul got to bounce back somehow, and it's going to give them a decent time back to work with. Now, 452 is going to be the target for the Seoul Dynasty, and they have ultimates coming online for the potential snowball. Shanghai Dragons still working on those. You got Flitter that's reasonably far behind Profit here as well. And once Seoul Dynasty can drop this, window down, have Fitz and Profit shooting out of it, they'll be in business for sure. So 5:30 roughly. I don't suspect they'll get it in the next 30 seconds, but if they can get maybe a 4-minute time back, that'll be good. Profit's got to live. Profit dies.
It's 1 for 1, but Profit does get res back into the fight. Void using the kinetic grasp, just looking to build up some shield, but with the opening on the Dragon Strike, this could be huge. Maybe we see them match the time as they make their way over to the point right now. Profit has the duplicate out. He's looking to get this Flux, and everybody's grouped up in the catacombs right now. Tries to use it, does manage to find Lip, looks to drop him back down, but will get stunned out of the ultimate, so will not be able to assassinate that Ashe. Lip now going to be swapping over to the Reaper to try to break down the tank line here for the Dynasty. Athletic goes on a bit of a deep flank. Reaching around the back, finds the stun. Fitz now going to be eliminated, as is Tuyu. And it seems like despite the great start for the side of the Dynasty on this push, this will just end up going the way of the Dragons. Pull off the hold as that Flux will get the kill onto Anamo, and Fleta is really pushing forward for this. Well, that's fine.
He'll die, but I mean, he's going to respawn in just a hot second anyway. I mean, this is so many late deaths for the Seoul Dynasty. Fleta dying here is inconsequential. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's 100% worth. Look at the time. I was saying maybe if Seoul can get 4 minutes, it would be pretty decent for a time bank. It's not looking like a 4 minute anymore because they would need more ultimates. Currently, they have maybe 2 coming online in the next 30 or so seconds. Shanghai Dragons will be banking up as well. Supercharge is very useful here. So Seoul Dynasty, they got to go through a phase where, ideally Fitz will find a headshot here. There's no res available. Find a 6v5 playing for the Flux, but Fitz is down, so it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, he's just playing.
Even the res. I mean, now you don't have a res for the fight, so it still sucks.
Yeah, they still just kind of have to pull back and wait. Still a considerable amount of damage being pushed out onto the Dynasty as they try to approach this point. Lip stunned up there for a moment. Seems like he's going to be able to get out safely as Profit dives in on top. And oh man, the sticky bomb as well. It will take out Void. He takes out himself, and that is catastrophic. It's going to have to be yet another full reset. And what was, looking like going to be a strong time bank for the side of the Seoul Dynasty is now shrinking as the seconds go by. 3.5 minutes remaining. Still very capable. They have that single tick on the board. So they're not starting from scratch, but it just seems like Shanghai are now entrenched. They've stabilized with this defense.
Exactly, because the problem now for Seoul Dynasty is that Shanghai have ultimates, and previously, both teams kind of didn't have ultimates, and then Fate had that one supercharger. He spends the supercharger, converts into ult charge for the rest of his team because that's boosting damage, right? And now Shanghai have got 4 other ults to work with. They're just looking pretty stacked. Dragon Strike's going to come on through. Hasn't hit anybody yet. He's Yaki saved by the Immortality Field, but not quite. He still goes down.
Yeah, he does. Fleta doing his best to try to turn this back around. Manages to find one, as does Lip. His creative will fall. So one of the support's going to be gone. Lip goes in deep, pops the Death Blossom. Won't lead to anything exactly in the kill feed, but the rest of the squad is certainly there to capitalize. Phenomenal, the last one to fall for that added bit of stagger. Didn't quite spot it, but Tuyu, he just swapped back over onto the Sigma. Didn't see what he was going for before, but It's going to be just a hard reset on the ult percentage now.
What charge was he on? Because I'm trying to figure out if he had charge or not. If he actually, yeah, well, it's rough regardless. And the Animo's given up on the Mercy entirely now. They're going over towards Brig, kind of match what Dragons are doing, if nothing else, or just mostly mirror exactly what Dragons will be doing on their end of stuff. Fitz will still be playing over towards the creek, so just wants to use that. 2U did actually flux to previous fight, so maybe it's fine. He didn't really delete that much. Look at the damage coming through now, though. Fitz in a decent amount of trouble. If he goes down, this time you definitely don't have a res.
Yeah, certainly not. Now under 2 minutes. Still plenty of ultimates to utilize here. As Fletic goes in, Duplicate is out. Immortality Field going to be finished off first. He's pushing up the corner. He's looking for a Flux. Spots Prophet up top, who's got similar thoughts. Both of these Sigma dupes look to get this Flux online. There it is. Pushes them up into the air. They're looking to finish off Gesture. Can't quite make it happen, but they will knock Prophet out of his own Duplicate. But back over to the side now, just looking to deal with Prophet, trying to get the shots through with the left clicks, unable to make it happen. Pulls back, gets a considerable amount of damage, and forces the Immortality Field, and Creative, he steps out of it. Gets finished off by Izayaki. Still near the front line, though. Yeah, Beam's coming down. Fitz trying to do something, trying to peel for a squad, but the flashbang finds no value. They clean him up, and it's another effective team kill. And with a minute left, only a single tick on the board. Dynasty, they've exhausted all of their options. They don't have any ults available at the moment. The Rally and the Flux are the closest things.
It's like a crazy cleanup as well, because Shanghai Dragons have Void and also Flare flanking around the edges. Soul can't even get out from their engagement. They want to disengage. They're not allowed to go back home, or will have to go back the hard way, respawning. At this point in time, like you said, not enough time remaining on the clock at all. You have 5 ultimates coming online for the Shanghai Dragons. About 3 coming online for the Seoul Dynasty, and they got to get through so many resources that the Shanghai Dragons hold, and so much delay as well. Here comes a Flux. Should be a big catch. Just a 1 so far, but does force the Immortality Field.
Yeah, Void gets himself placed up top there on the archway. Drops back as he does fall low. But it's just buying time. You pop that Flux, suddenly you buy 10 more seconds off the clock. Rally rolling for Namo. That's going to be the Ant Matrix out for Creative. Big flank coming in. Void and Fleta around the back. Stun comes through. They're looking to get the finish there on a Fitz. He grabs the health pack to try to stay alive, but they're just piled into the corner at the moment. Now Fleta pushing forward, finishes it off 2U, still holds on to the Duplicate should he need it. The Gesture is just left out to dry on the point. Anamo is desperately trying to get back over to him, but as he does, they will both fall to the ground dead. And there you have it, as the OT will bleed away. The Shanghai Dragons will close the distance to this victory even further. Now up to 0. It's match point. It's 1 map win away from punching their ticket yet again into another monthly tournament.
This is crazy so far. That was fast, and I got a bit of a treat for you, and also for the fans at home. You don't have to wait until after the break for me to give you the actual official, statement on how fast that Temple Anubis was. I have already checked it, and I gotta say, Shanghai Dragons have now set the new Overwatch League record for fastest Temple Anubis attack ever at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. The previous record was held by Houston, San Francisco versus Houston versus Shark at 2 minutes and 12. Was the fastest time before, so Shanghai have just beaten this one by 4 seconds. So 2:08 versus 2:12, officially now the fastest Anubis attack ever held in Overwatch League.
Well, certainly not what you want to hear if you're a Dynasty fan in this moment. I mean, it's just unfortunately not even close. It was a decently strong attack there from the Dynasty. They got that point 8. They had a significant amount of time. It looked like they were going to have that snowball, but Dragons, they are just so good at being able to stabilize when they're on the back foot. They do just that. They bounce back in, and they just are unrelenting in the defense. They do not give an additional percentage realistically over to the side of the Dynasty. So fantastically done from them. Now just one more map to punch their ticket into the June Joust. We'll see if they can close it out, or if the Dynasty can try to start a reverse sweep, which they so desperately need when we come back from the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, we are back, and we are, maybe getting ready to end the day, Avril, which is not something that we had anticipated at all.
Sure.
Shanghai Dragons are absolutely speed-running their way through this series at the moment. I mean, dominant performance on Lijiang Tower, dominant performance on Temple of Anubis. They're barely skipping a beat. A couple holdups there from the side of the Seoul Dynasty, getting that initial cap on A, extending the map slightly, but they are just unrelenting at the moment, and they are looking to go ahead and take this series 3-0 to lock in their spot for the June Joust.
I mean, the only way this could have been more one-sided, really, is if Shanghai Dragons also completed full hold on A, into a speed run on B, and, as we've looked at it now, it officially is a speed run. In fact, it's the fastest speed run. Notably, actually, all the Temple of Anubis records were set this year. Well, all the good ones were set this year, because the previous record, like I said, between Shock and Outlaws, they set it against each other this year. And all the... Well, I'm actually looking at only 2020. Let me actually look at overall. Let me take a look at all seasons, and I'll get back to you on whether it's the fastest of all time, because that was 2021. It's definitely the fastest of this year, by no measure. Of all time, though, it actually doesn't measure up to some of the previous records, so might have to go back on that one. Sorry for whoever wanted the free karma on Reddit. You might get corrected on a little bit. I should have specified it was the fastest of 2021. If we actually want the fastest of all time, it's like 135 between Boston and Dallas in 2018. So yeah, that's maybe a little bit too far away. That's maybe a bit too quick. We had a 208. It felt pretty good, but below 2 minutes is pretty wild. We'll just have to celebrate it for what it is for 2021. And for right now, I mean, Seoul Dynasty, one map to try and bring the train back on the rails for a potential reverse sweep. It's that neither Lijiang nor Anubis really give me a lot of hope so far. I just haven't seen enough of Seoul Dynasty to give me that kind of belief that they can really get the train moving.
Wow. Unfortunate for the person who has already posted that on Reddit. Delete the thread quick before everyone comes in and calls you a big dummy or something like that. I don't know.
Dude,
I was gonna
baited
say something
them,
else,
fine.
but it's not really
I do
broadcast
enjoy
friendly.
baiting.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that.
It's yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it all measures up. I'm sure we can get Marcel on the phone later on this evening for our time, and when he wakes up. It's one of those boomer guys, so he likes to wake up at 7 a.m. like Hex and Della.
Dude,
But
Hex wakes up
on
at
to
2 a.m.
Hollywood.
to watch this. Hex is watching right now. How you doing, Hex?
He probably is.
So.
I miss you. Let's watch and talk about movies sometime soon. As we are looking at a movie theater as we're on Hollywood. Lip again, starting with the Widowmaker, takes a shot. Not going to get the hit, so we'll just go ahead and swap it up. It's going to be the Hangzhou again. So we saw this from Fitz on the last map. It was good to, break open that point initially. Let's see how he fares now. Otherwise, we're looking pretty mirrored up.
Double shield on both sides, Letter, Prophet staying on the same old. See if Lip can do very similar, like you said, to what Fitz was able to do on Temple of Anubis. Fitz's Ash is kind of what Hollywood, being that this was the map that Fitz really came up on previously when we had that massive match where Fitz dropped, I think, 25k damage in a single map. It was this map. So Fitz had an incredible performance as Ash here previously, and he's got to do that again. And Seoul desperately needs something like that to happen for them to come back in the series. Shanghai slowly walking up, Face looking for position. 3 minutes remaining, 1 minute's gone.
Good pressure being applied from the back there. Floodhound does now have the boost available, and yeah, we'll just go ahead, jump up over the top, keep himself safe. Mortality field now going to be gone. That's going to be the Amp Matrix out from Izayaki as Legion Gun flutters around with the Valkyrie. Seoul Dynasty now rotating fully off the point, just waiting out that Amp Matrix. As Void continues to apply pressure, is looking to hold the corner. Creative. Oh man, dead on top of the dumpster. They can just leave him right there, but now the res will come through. Doesn't get clipped by the Flux, is going to be safe in that regard. Mortality field to help keep his tank alive at least for a little bit longer, but yeah, the Flux is used by Tuyu. He's only going to find Izayaki. The res is available. He is dead. And that will be the cap coming in. So not even half the time going to be taken out of the time bank as the Dragons go ahead and get this lockdown and now have well over 4 minutes on the clock for themselves to push through the streets phase.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I said Seoul with a, better late than never team. Now it's just like, they're just too late. They're actually just way too late because you see Tuyu dropping into Flux towards the end. Creative can't get an Amp Matrix before Izayaki either. everything that Shanghai Dragons got in terms of how they won that previous fight to Cap 8, they got in a timely fashion that Seoul Dynasty were not able to respond to. They just couldn't get it done. The only reason right now we're not having a huge snowball is, well, Fitz is going to get an opening frag. We'll slow down the Shanghai Dragons. Now they're trying to take the high ground. Dragon Strike on it. That is going to force Seoul Dynasty to spread.
Okay, Dragon Strike just, get them off that high ground. Bob's going to be sitting up on top of one of the rooftops here. Prophet goes in, gets the duplicate. It's just going to be going for Faith. Gets the halt in, and yeah, they melt him down. Great kill to try to establish some presence here on the cart. Now they do have the supercharger. Halt going to be unable to find anything, and the Dragons have to pull back to safety to try to stay alive. Oh, crucial timing there. Ziyaki will manage to live as Prophet. Did lose the duplicate, just timing out.
Fleta dying twice there really hurts as well. You know, there was another 6v5 situation. Great by Seoul Dynasty to catch that. Prophet will then use duplicate where Fleta can't match. Supercharger coming down from Prophet. That's going to give them a fight when much needed here. Fleta's turn finds Sigma on the other end looking for that flux. It's an interesting position for the Seoul Dynasty as they're all kind of on the low ground, but not anywhere near the payload.
Yeah, Flux now just going to be used solo here on the 2U. He looks for the Accretion to take Fleta out of the sky. He's unable to do so. Won't miss the elevator, but now continues to apply pressure. Beams coming in. It's not going to be enough to get the kill. Spitz does get res back into the fight. In the meantime, the cart is pushing forward. And
that's what I'm saying.
They need to contest this at some point. Jester's waiting. He'll now drop down, and there's a huge opening. Fitz does manage to find Fleta. They need to deny the res. They're unable to do so, so Fleta's back into the mix, but Prophet does manage to find Izayaki. It's gone yet again. Now Anamo eliminated. Void going to be dead over here on the cart, but the rest of the squad is popping off. Fleta is just destroying people. A 2-for-1 special on the beam is absolutely massive. 2U falls yet again, and that is going to be them pushing forward into point B, and now it's 3:56 on the clock for this final stretch of Hollywood.
That's another too late flux. It's literally a 1v4 flux there. It's hard to watch at that stage. It's a situation, and this is why I brought up, it's a weird position that Seoul were, all so far away from the payload when Fleta was inside his duplication form, copied over the Sigma, and he's just looking at 3 players like, hold up a second, their main tank is chilling here. And I mentioned them being away from the payload because the payload was free pushing the whole time, and they basically push it towards the end. Boy does get a kill, but will be res.
Okay, well, Immortality Field has to be used just to get the res off, but now Prophet is going to be dead. So yeah, you bring one DPS back into the fight, but you lose out on the other one. So you pushing up, doesn't manage to get the melee kill on the Lee J gone. Void just continues to apply so much pressure, just pressing forward up against the Dynasty. Just truly is not really giving a damn. We'll start kiting back, however, as they do lose Fate. So one of the barriers gone. It's time to play it out a little bit safer.
Just down now as well, so this fight will be over for sure. Seoul Dynasty losing way too much ground here. And they have ultimates as well. They would love to, drop in a supercharger. Flux coming on again. Shanghai getting more free push, some more alone time with the payload. Still just under 3 minutes remaining. It's decent. It's reasonable. It's not going to be a speed run, but it will be a good cap when they get there, if they can get there, because there's a lot of ultimates for Seoul. They just have to connect these, and they will connect on Fleta.
Void trying to keep himself safe. He's tucked into the corner right now, down to about 100 HP. They're pushing forward. They're looking for that finish. He's just going to go ahead and eat up a lot of that damage with the Kinetic Grasp. Nearly has the Flux online. Prophet, he went for the Orisa. He's looking to build up that supercharger. Now will have it. Flux going to be used, committed just to try to kill off the tanks.
Void.
Seems like it should be able to work. Yeah, Fate and Void both going to fall. And Matrix is still up from Izayaki, but he's got to pull away from it. It's just in too dangerous of a position. He's got nowhere to go, though. Stuck up in the air. Fitz will finish him off. And for now, there will be a slight reprieve here to this onslaught that has otherwise been getting constantly pushed against the Dynasty. So now they can breathe easy, but not for too long.
Good aggression versus Voice specifically there, who dies on about 98%, so they couldn't quite counter-flux their way through to try and save the fight for the Dragons. Losing both tanks is going to be a bit of a problem there. A lot of damage coming on through. They will be, survive Anima Creative sitting on support ultimates as we're just trading a little bit more. 140 remaining, flatted down again. Fitz is opening up really big.
Yeah, huge pick off there. Another headshot now as Lip is dead as well. It's just going to be the Fitz and 2U show in the kill feed. Prophet does want to get involved, so we'll go ahead and tag up 2 on the back end. Good hold. And just a minute and 20 left to burn here for the Seoul Dynasty as instant res is available, and Amo puts Prophet right back into the fight.
Now this is where things get dangerous. 1 minute 12 for the Shanghai Dragons. The payload is starting to slide back as well. They're going to have to rely on an overtime push. They have to even get past Seoul Dynasty, who are holding up very close. They might get to you. Maybe Gesture. This is the tank's down.
He was just so far away. He was completely split off from the rest of the squad. I mean, the pocket healing tried to come through in the back end there from an Amo, but Just wasn't going to be good enough. That Amp Matrix from Fleta was just
creative. What?
and taking down the Orisa. Now, yeah, creative. I don't know what is happening. I don't know where anybody is going at the moment on the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Fitz is the only one who seems to have the memo of just, pull back over towards the point. He gets himself out of there and up onto the high ground, but the rest of the squad was so scattered.
This is going to come down to 1-8 Matrix from Izayaki, so they actually force ultimates out from the Shanghai Dragons. Let's see if this window is actually going to be effective enough. 2U still waiting for an opportunity to use the Flux. They may have 2, because Prophet has a duplicated Sigma as well.
There's the Flux, but the Keep Void topped up. Amp Matrix now going to expire, so Izayaki loses out on that burst healing.
Cancelled, Prophet.
Everybody topped up as best as possible, and he still does have this Immortality field. Prophet taken out of the dupe, comes out, manages to find Izayaki, but Fleta is fast on the reply. Gets some revenge for his support. Fate falling low, will get dropped. Supercharger's still going to be up. Slip finds Fitz. They're looking to get the finish, but Void with a sliver of HP will go down right at the end. The cart will not quite make it to the end of Hollywood. So it is a successful defense. There is a win condition instantly there for the Dynasty, but they still have to push all the way to the very end of Hollywood.
Exactly.
I mean, look
so
at
in
that.
terms
Come
of
on.
defensible positions, it's basically in the parking spot.
It is.
But it's ever so slightly not according to the game that I don't know, it doesn't count. So there it is. You're just just a couple of centimeters off.
The game is like it's like an American driving instructor. You mess up the parallel park very slightly, like you don't even hit the curve, but you're just maybe like half an inch off too far off the curve, and it's just like, nope, you don't get your license today, sonny.
No, it's about an inch and a half off, just 1 inch off actually. That's what the tape measure says. So
yeah,
come back next year. As I'm sure Seoul, they're going to be reasonably happy with that. Don't have to go into a time bank. The difficulty now will be, okay, can we match this up? Because like you said, it's effectively a cap. The only difference is we are not going to time bank. So you will have to, pretty much finish the map. And no chance for draw as well, which is also great. You're going to love those. More double shield action to start out with. For Seoul Dynasty, a lot of, I think, where their success in that defense came from, fits on the Hangzhou getting those opening frags. Those 6v5s really gave Seoul Dynasty massive advantages for the most part. And if it wasn't for some of those clutch kills coming on through, I mean, that would be really difficult. And good selection of times to take fights as well. Shutting down Void just in time before he gets the Flux. Getting aggressive on towards the C entrance, even though they kind of get wiped there, but they waste more time. So just understanding when and where to take fights has been really good for the Seoul Dynasty on that defense. See how they get to attack now, and if they can actually be able to finish this entire thing, get all the way to the end.
Fitz just sending the arrows through, looking to burst down this barrier. Give Prophet an easier time of weaving his damage through to try to get that duplicate online. Getting himself above the members of Shanghai, but does have to pull back. You always have to respect Lim. You poke your head out for just a second, and he's going to take it off. Pushing out into the stairwell. Void's done up there for the moment. Immortality field going to be good for Izayaki to keep them alive. Dynasty pulling back up.
They got the window.
Playing it out safe, yeah. Do have that ready to go. We'll see where Creative wants to place it. It's just going to be straight up here on the corner. All together on the 2, the beam. He was expecting some extra damage, it seems, this Prophet, but doesn't manage to find anything. Bob's going to be taken down immediately. Doesn't find too much value there. So this is really contest the point at all. But chunked out to half HP, and Prophet is on the hunt. He's looking for the finish, but the Mega Pack does get grabbed, and Lip in the meantime, he's cozy here over in the cafe. Manages to find Gesture. Now he's looking for an ammo. Gets a tag through, and does get the kill. Hits with the Storm Arrows will get rid of Fleta as they continue to trade blows back and forth, but it will be the Dynasty stabilizing, or not stabilizing rather, it's going to be the Dragons stabilizing here on the point with this defense, staving them off. They don't quite get that tick.
Which is wild because that creative amplification matrix comes out at such a good time. I think Izayaki was only about 55, 60% when the window was already available. That's a huge advantage. There's no other ultimates online for Shanghai Dragons until Lip finds the Bob just, moments later. And Void, he sticks his arm out, has the kinetic grasp, and they just avoid all the damage. Initially, the Bob did look pretty good. It didn't disrupt, I think, the Ant Matrix as much as I thought it did, but it at least pulls back some of the members of Seoul Dynasty to address the Bob, to not be shooting through the window, be shooting the Bob instead. Let's take a look at what Izayaki now does with his window. This will slow down Seoul by a significant margin. They probably don't want to fight it too much.
Void holding them off here on this back flank. Nice, quite a bit of damage. It's going to be Flux for Flux. Both of them going up into the air. Fleta gets the duplicate over onto Gesture. Looks for Another supercharger here to chain in behind Fates, which is currently down to the ground. Fate will finish off Gesture, but now it's going to be Lip and Lijigon taken out of the fight. Immortality Field gone. Supercharger gone. Fleta has another one drop down onto the ground. It comes up with 2 kills. That's both supports out of the fight. So much work done there by Fleta. Now he's looking for Profit. Manages to beam him down, and Fleta, can he possibly make this work? Basically on his own, because Fate, he's just hiding in behind this barrier right now. He's got 74 HP, just desperately is trying to hold on, and Void comes in, gets the accretions done. Fate is going to stabilize. He's going to fuel these next ultimates to come up for the supports on the side of the Dragons, and now it's 55 seconds left. Reminder, Dynasty, they have to push all the way to the end of the map if they want to win this, if they want the series to keep going. Otherwise, the Dragons, they close it out.
And this is the thing, right? You can't be comfortable with your soul. Even though you've defended C, you have to get past A, and they're struggling to do that. It's a battle between Profit and Fleta. C would carry harder. Fleta got, like, what, 3 kills here? No team had supports. All 4 supports were down. And that was a rough position to be in. Here comes that Bob. Has been stunned up, but is blocking Seoul Dynasty's progress.
Gets rocked. Dynamite not going to find anything. Lip coming over.
Holy cow!
Unbelievable.
No way.
Just rips apart Fitz. Now he's looking for Anamo yet again.
Jeez.
The guy, they has absolutely gorgeous tracking. Beautiful tracking beatdown. That was gorgeous. This has got to be it. Gesture falling low. Creative does manage to find Void, but they need to pull a rabbit out of a hat right now. Do the Dynasty if they want to make this happen. They will have the contest for overtime on the point. Fitz charging forward with a Wraith Walk. Tries to get himself there, but he just gets absolutely annihilated. The Lucio is in, but Anamo is dead, and the OT will continue to bleed down one after the other. The Dynasty, they try to keep things going, but they are just looking at their hopes and dreams of participating in the June Joust bleed away from them. Sand through their fingers. And the last ones to be finished off now is Creative. Fades over to the other side with the Moira, but it gets finished off by the Coach Gun, and they've done it. An utterly dominant showing from the Shanghai Dragons. They absolutely demolished the Seoul Dynasty. A 3-0 sweep to shut them out of the June Joust. The Dragons, yet again, are going to be representing the APAC region.
And deservedly so as well. Shanghai Dragons have come to save everyone's pick'ems. You thought maybe all your pick'ems are going to be boomed today. I'm sure, you know, there were plenty of people that also went for Seoul. I mean, I know you did, Seth, but here, Shanghai Dragons, they'll be pretty happy that at least one team, one of the Chinese teams that were able to represent, you know, the region on stage at the Hangzhou Spark homestand, even though the lights are all red right now. Hangzhou Spark fans going from pink to red as, you know, this will be the team. This is definitely a team you can just see by the crowd cheers. This is a team that they've been backing to try and at least have, you know, one of the local teams that were live at the venue get on through, and a worthwhile trip for Shanghai as well. This is the only game they officially play at the homestand. Of course, all 3 days of the homestand, they'll play the one match, but that one match is great. Person to the left, by the way, is a bit of tribute. That's the Guangzhou Charge owner. As, I mean, we thought we were going to get 1-3-0 match today, and that was probably going to be the Spark versus NYXL game. That was probably the one that we thought was going to be a fast 3-0. Ends up being the Shanghai Seoul game, and for, you know, what is meant to be a bit of an El Clasico. In the past it has been, based on record it has been, but today absolutely not. Now a 9-7 overall record, and it stands to be the last 2 games that Shanghai played versus Seoul Dynasty have been wins for Shanghai, and the most recent of which that just happened now was the most dominant of those games. Yeah,
This was just absolutely insane. It just seems like the Dragons, you know, they have their number. I mean, I thought perhaps the Dynasty was going to be able to stabilize after that really rough first map, but there was just really not much of a semblance of cohesion here for the squad. Dragons, they were operating on all cylinders. It was just so lopsided, this matchup, which is not what we anticipated at all. I think we've kind of answered the question here, Avril, of which Christopher Nolan movie is this? This one's Inception, because I'm not sure if this is real or still just a dream. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Applies to both matches.
Yeah, I mean, insane performance for the Dragons, and a very well-deserved slot to be representing APAC in the June Joust. But whew, I mean, this is a fast day, but let's just go ahead and let's carry on with it. Let's take a look at our player of the match here and see who we have lined up today, because there's multiple choices, I would say, on the side of the Dragons.
Everybody
played phenomenally, but yeah, it's got to be Lee Jagon.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man, and by the way, what I find ironic about this is Shu had that tweet. It's like, oh yeah, I see what this Overwatch League only give MVP awards over to DPSs, and then we're starting to give them out to supports. Now we get a main support one. Rare to see a main support player of the match as well. So well done to Lee Jae Gon. Lee Jung Tao was like Lee Jae Gon Tower. Really, it's Seoul Dynasty gone at that stage, gone off the map, into the drink, off them, completely out of the June Joust. Great setups by Fate. I think you got to also credit Fate for a decent fair few of these. Remember, there's 10 total environmental kills here, and every single one of them, huge impact, really destroyed Seoul's chances of being competitive on this map at all. And it turns out that Seoul's most competitive map of Hollywood, I would even say historically so for this particular stage in June Joust. Again, Fitz and Seoul Dynasty had great performances on Hollywood previously in the June Joust, but now that was a full hold into nearly a map completion, and the only reason it seems close is because Shanghai didn't finish the entire map. But beyond that, I mean, what a brilliant performance. Shanghai have everything to be happy about today. Lee Jae Gon has everything to be happy about today as well.
Yeah, I mean, this was just classic Lee Jae Gon. When he was announced that he was joining the Overwatch League, it was so exciting to see because he was just so instrumental in the success of Runaway alongside Gangnam Jin and whatnot. It was just a huge support duo, and this was him playing just so very well the entire way through. So very much a classic performance from him, and you love to see it. We always jest that it's live by Lee Jae Gon, die by Lee Jae Gon. Today, it was very much live. He's in the prime of his life.
Someone died.
And just completely shut him down. Yeah, I mean, the other team died by Lee Jae Gon. That's what it was. But it's time for our game break here at the end of the evening, presented by Pringles. And, I mean, we could just kind of reminisce about today. It's been really, really fast. What, like 2.5 hours? Yeah, 2.5 hours, almost on the dot for this entire broadcast.
I'm gonna drop my bold prediction here, Sith. I said yesterday that Hangzhou Spark were going to be in the grand finals of the June Joust. That obviously can't happen now, so I'm going to have to change that and basically retcon that to say Shanghai Dragons will be in the grand finals. But not only that, my bold prediction is going to have to be that Shanghai Dragons will win the June Joust. Not only will be grand finals, but they're going to win the whole thing. Because I got to kind of one up my bold prediction from yesterday. Right? I got to do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, and it's calling Caster Synergy or just maybe an obvious choice, but I have to agree with you. I think that was going to be my bold prediction as well. Is that it just looks like Shanghai is going to be able to take this whole thing. The other teams, we don't know who's going to be representing North America yet. We'll find that out later on. But it's still, they just look like they are leaps and bounds above everybody right now. This is a huge dominant showing.
Can I retcon again? I want to go spicier.
Sure,
I want to go a little bit spicier. I will add on to that bold prediction by saying not only will it be Shanghai Dragons in the grand finals, it will be Shanghai Dragons versus Dallas Fuel in the June Joust grand finals, and then Dragons win it by getting the revenge victory versus Dallas Fuel. So we're going to get a little bit more complicated, just because it's got to be a bold prediction, right? It can't be too easy. Yeah. You're right. Just saying Shanghai will be there winning is maybe a little bit too easy. So let's add a few more caveats in there and see how we go later on.
I mean, yet again, I'm right there with you. I've kind of been expecting the Fuel to be able to make it in there. I think that they will be able to make it into that final yet again. But if Shanghai plays like they did today versus the Fuel, then I think they very well can take that final. But here we go. Shanghai Dragons and the NYXL are advancing forward. We have to see NYXL. I mean, this is, we kind of anticipate that the Shanghai Dragons are going to be a representative of APAC at the majority of these tournaments. It's very much an upset if they're not there. But this is still, I'd say the more interesting of these two is obviously going to be the NYXL, just given the kind of lackluster season that they've had thus far. Yes, they got gifted their top 4 spot basically by the Valiant yesterday by, just taking that single map off the Fusion, but they played really well today. It seemed like a bit of a mix between Hangzhou being less than stellar, but NYXL, they did look cleaner than they have throughout this entire season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop as well.
I mean, credit to the NYXL. I mean, you may be gifted a position, but you still have to win the match in an upset win as well. You have to come in as the underdog versus the #1 seed in APAC. So that's well done. And just for add a bit of spice on Twitter, you might have seen it already, but apparently, Hotbar and Mana are still carrying the NYXL from another team. They got to get the homies in. They got to get NYXL in somehow. So drop that map to Valiant, shoe in the NYXL, and NYXL have completely used that, made some lemonade, and boom, straight to the June Joust. happen.
Well, maybe Hoppa should stick with supporting his OG team there with the Fusion rather than the ones that he's been on that are now his rival squads. So maybe a misallocation of his own resources. But yeah, I mean, what a wild day. Definitely a lot shorter than we anticipated, but certainly some pretty crazy results and whatnot. So either way, entirely entertaining all the way through. But guys, that does it for us here on the APAC broadcast. That does it for the Hangzhou homestand. Obviously, we do have some more coming up. Hasher's been talking about, the Dallas Fuel hosting some events over in North America, so it's a very exciting time to be an Overwatch League fan. So we'll see what happens in the future, and hopefully we can, return to some more frequent LAN events, because this has been really, really fun. Even though we're not there in person, it's been wonderful to see a live audience sitting there watching these matches, getting hyped up about seeing their regions, excel. So I, for one, am all about it. I know you are too. But that's going to do it from us, guys. Thank you for watching. The NA matches are going to be coming up later on, so make sure you guys tune in so you can see who the Shanghai Dragons and the NYXL are going to be going up against in the June Joust. Aside from that, we'll see you later.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.